Chapter 877. After a few breaths, Ning Fan's eyes regained their clarity. He kept the ghost mask and wiped away the black blood in his eyes. After that, he swept away the darkness on his primordial spirit and walked towards Commander Feng, who was standing blankly in the sky. A dignified mid-shedding void realm old monster had his spirit consciousness erased by Ning Fan's illusion technique. One had to admit that Commander Feng was defeated miserably. What Commander Feng was most proficient in was illusion techniques. However, Ning Fan was able to counter all of his illusions, causing his strength to be suppressed by 90%. In the end, he even lost because of his illusions. There was still an arrow light hidden in his glabella. It was a divine ability given to him by old ancestor Poisonous Dragon. Its power was boundless. Even Ning Fan felt a trace of danger from it. Unfortunately, he hesitated and gave up the chance to use the arrow light. In the end, his spirit consciousness was erased by Ning Fan's dark illusion technique, turning him into an idiot. If this demon uses his trump card, I'm afraid it won't be so easy for me to defeat him. Ning Fan pointed his finger at Commander Feng's glabella. Immediately, an arrow light flew out from the latter's glabella. It was an illusory arrow light that had developed some spirit consciousness. It was enough to kill a late-shedding void realm cultivator with a single arrow. The spirit consciousness in the arrow light was erased by Ning Fan. Then, he kept the arrow light in his glabella. If he encounters a late-shedding void realm cultivator, he could kill him with a single arrow. Commander Feng did not have time to use his trump card, allowing Ning Fan to take advantage of him. Soul Search. Ning Fan naturally would not show any mercy to Commander Feng. He directly used the Soul Search technique. After searching his soul, he killed Commander Feng and took his bag of holding and corpse blood. There was nothing valuable in the storage pouch. There was only a map jade slip which caught Ning Fan's attention. It was a map of the 42 regions of the wild desolate land. There were more than 40 places marked in red. The barbarian valley where Ning Fan was at was marked. From Commander Feng's memory, Ning Fan learned that the reason why Commander Feng came to this barbarian valley was because he was ordered by old ancestor Poisonous Dragon to unseal a remnant ancient formation near the valley. According to old ancestor Poisonous Dragon, there were more than 10,000 such remnant formations in the wild desolate ancient region. Commander Feng was only responsible for unsealing more than 40 of them. He also only knew the location of more than 40 remnant formations. The demon race first raised the nascent soul defying across the entire wild desolate land. Then, they secretly unsealed the ancient formations. What exactly are they trying to do? Ning Fan's heart was filled with a hint of uneasiness. He had a feeling that the true Dragon Clan's scheme was not as simple as it seemed. He slowly closed his eyes, and his divine sense immediately turned into a fine rain that scattered in all directions. The rain seeped into the land for millions of miles around Barbarian Valley, all the way down to the core of the earth. Over there, Ning Fan saw an extremely well-hidden and incomplete ancient formation. This is, the immemorial dust-defying formation. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned solemn. He had been trapped by the immemorial dust-defying formation in the third illusion for many years. How could he not recognize this formation? It wasn't the complete immemorial dust-defying formation, but a 10,000th of the formation diagram that had been broken from the immemorial dust-defying formation. This broken array was perfectly sealed by a powerful demonic spiritual force. The ones who sealed this array were at least 10 great emperors of the demon race who had cultivated spiritual wheels. The concealment effect of demon spiritual power was extremely powerful. Even Ning Fan, who also cultivated demon spiritual power, did not notice that there was such an incomplete formation in this barbarian valley after staying for quite a few days. Activating the immemorial dust-defying formation required the sacrifice of the defying infant. Ning Fan's eyes became more and more solemn. He vaguely understood why the true dragon race wanted to raise the rebellious infant. The reason why the demon race raised the rebellious infant is probably to activate the 10,000 ancient formation that was sealed in the ancient wild region. These incomplete formations were formed after the immemorial dust-defying formation was broken. Because of that, they couldn't unleash the full power of the formation. Even if they activate the grand formation, they can't sacrifice the entire ancient wild region. The destructive power of these incomplete formations has already become negligible. The demon race didn't activate this formation to sacrifice the entire ancient wild region. They have another purpose. What exactly is the demon race's scheme? The demon race's scheme made Ning Fan feel a little uneasy. He moved and dived into the ground, trying to destroy the incomplete formation. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was actually unable to destroy the incomplete formation with his current cultivation base. In order to destroy the incomplete formation, he would at least need to use an attack that was close to the eternal ancient realm. Only an eternal ancient realm old monster could do so. Hiss. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth here is really chaotic. A great battle must have taken place here not long ago. Suddenly, the exclamations of a few ladies resounded from the ground. There were a few life-immortal realm human cultivators who happened to pass by this place and discovered the chaotic spiritual chi of heaven and earth here. Ning Fan's eyes slightly moved under the ground. These life-immortal realm cultivators actually have a trace of eternal ancient chi on them. Could it be that they possess a life-saving divine ability that was given by a human immortal venerable? That day, when I was attacked by old ancestor poisonous dragon's 7 arrows, a human immortal venerable helped me. Even though it didn't help much, it was still a gesture of goodwill. That human immortal venerable's chi is very similar to the chi of these life-immortal realm human cultivators. Fine. With my current strength, I won't be able to destroy the incomplete formation. I'll just inform that human immortal venerable about this matter and let him take action to prevent the demon race's scheme. If the demon race's scheme causes a great calamity in the ancient wild region, that immortal venerable who is responsible for guarding the place will most likely be blamed. If he knows that the demon race is plotting against us, he will certainly do his best to deal with it. Since he helped me once, I'll give him some information to help him guard against the demon race's scheme. On the ground, the few life-immortal realm cultivators sensed that the spiritual chi in this place was chaotic. Naturally, they didn't dare to stay here for long, fearing that they would be involved in some trouble. However, just as they were about to leave, a heavy pressure that was as heavy as a mountain suddenly pressed down on them from the ground. It made their breathing stagnate and they couldn't move. Their pretty faces turned pale. The one who could suppress us life-immortal realm cultivators with just the pressure alone must be old monster Shikong. Not good. We've been targeted by old monster Shikong. What should we do? Damn it. Do we have no choice but to use the life-saving divine ability given by Lord Immortal Venerable? But even if we use it, we might not be able to save our lives. While the few women were in despair, a hoarse and old voice suddenly resounded in their ears. It was so faint that they couldn't sense where the speaker was hiding. Don't be afraid. This old man won't hurt you. I just have some questions that I hope you can answer truthfully. After that, this old man will let you go. What questions do you have, senior? Why don't you speak your mind? It's our honor to be able to answer your doubts. The few women spoke in unison. Their expressions softened slightly. At this moment, the owner of the voice purposely released a trace of the chi of the human race, making the few women feel slightly relieved. They realized that this senior who was hiding his identity might not be their enemy. Let me ask you. Which immortal venerable of the human race is the one who gave you the life-saving divine ability? Ning Fan purposely made his voice hoarse and asked. In reply to senior's question, the one who gave us the divine ability is Venerable Miao Yen. We are the maidservants of Venerable Miao Yen. The few women hesitated for a moment before answering. This was not a secret. They would not deliberately hide it from Ning Fan either. Venerable Miao Yen, huh? Ning Fan secretly remembered this name. He thought that Venerable Miao Yen was most likely the immortal venerable of the human race who helped them in the past. After remaining silent for a while, Ning Fan suddenly flicked his finger. The map jade slip in his hand immediately turned into a ray of light and flew out of the ground. This map jade slip is what I obtained when I killed the poison dragon guards. Bring it back and hand it to Venerable Miao Yen. Tell Venerable Miao Yen that the demon race is trying to unseal the ancient formations in the ancient wild region. The formations marked in this jade slip are only part of the ancient formations. We don't know what the demon race is planning. Venerable Miao Yen, please take extra precautions. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan dispersed the aura force that was exerting on the few women. Then, he used the earth escape technique and returned to the barbarian valley. He no longer paid attention to the few female immortal cultivators. Has that senior left? Feeling that the aura force on her body was relieved, a round-faced female cultivator in black robes immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Are we going to hand this jade slip to Venerable Miao Yen? One of the female cultivators muttered to herself. Of course we are. Who knows, we might be able to make a great contribution if we hand over this jade slip. The few women carefully kept the jade slip. After calming themselves down, they hurriedly left the place and returned to the southern territory. While they were still on the way, they used a secret technique to pass all kinds of information to Venerable Miao Yen. Ning Fan, on the other hand, returned to the barbarian valley and left with Immortal Loli and Lu Yen. A few days later, all the experts of the human race came out and began to search for the ancient formations in all the unconquered barbarian regions. They were then handed over to two venerated immortals of the human race to destroy them. As soon as the news spread to the Northern Territory, it immediately shocked the demon races of the Northern Territory. The one who was the most shocked was Old Ancestor Poisonous Dragon. Damn it! How did the human race discover our scheme? Old Ancestor Poisonous Dragon's furious roar resounded across the 7 regions of the demon race. Then, he ordered all the experts of the demon race to go out and break the ancient formations at all costs. Moreover, Old Ancestor Poisonous Dragon personally went to stop the human race from breaking the ancient formations. The human cultivators were desperately trying to destroy the ancient formations while the demon cultivators were desperately trying to break them. Everyone knew that something big was about to happen in the desolate land which had been peaceful for a long time. Turbulent undercurrents were surging. Ning Fan did not get involved in the chaos. With his cultivation base, he would not be able to play much of a role in such a chaotic situation. Even though the human race tried their best to destroy the incomplete formations, many of them were still successfully broken by the demon race. Black snowflakes began to fall across the entire desolate land. As soon as the black snowflakes fell, the desolate land became chaotic. Every day, many barbarians transformed into wild beasts. Every day, there would be barbarian cities being massacred by wild beasts. Ning Fan walked on the official road of the barbarian city. Looking at the black snowflakes that covered the sky, his eyes gradually turned solemn. He did not wear the ghost mask. Lu Yen and Immortal Loli followed behind him and he was holding a longbow made of dragon horn in his hand. Along the way, the longbow kept flattering him. Obviously, it was extremely afraid of him. Master, oh Master, you are the most powerful cultivator that Little Bao has ever seen in my life. You are actually able to create a real bridge on the true illusion river. You are 100 times more powerful than Little Bao's previous master. Little Bao is able to become Master's Bao and help Master conquer the world. Master, oh Master. Why are you so lucky with women? I'm really envious of you. There are 2 extremely beautiful women following behind you. Even though one of them is still a little young, being young has its own advantages. Hee hee. What? Master's bone age is actually below 10,000. This is really unbelievable. I'm really a frog at the bottom of a well. I've lived for so many years but I've never seen such a peerless genius like you. Hee hee. My mouth is getting a little dry after talking so much. The seal in my body is also getting tighter. Master, can you help me loosen the seal? Ah. Master, please stop. This barbaric flash is not fun. It's not fun at all. The only thing that responded to the longbow was the barbaric flash in Ning Fan's hand. Every time Ning Fan used the barbaric flash, the longbow would cry for its parents in pain and shut its mouth obediently. However, it would forget the pain after a while and continue to talk nonsense with Ning Fan. What it got in return was another round of barbaric flash. In order to find out the information about the key in the longbow's memory, Ning Fan had used the reverse spirit technique more than once to search the longbow's soul. He also threatened the longbow to unlock the seal on its memory more than once so that he could read it. Under Ning Fan's threats and promises, the longbow finally unlocked its memory and allowed Ning Fan to search its soul. Unfortunately, the memories sealed by the bow spirit were also incomplete. There was not much useful information. The only information about the key that Ning Fan obtained was only one. There were a total of 9 keys in the world. Each of them was the key to leave the illusory world and enter the heavenly desolate ancient realm. What is the illusory world? What is the heavenly desolate ancient realm? Ning Fan shook his head. His eyes were filled with confusion and he continued to move forward in the black snow. As if he was tired of listening to the longbow's nagging, Ning Fan strengthened the seal on the longbow and threw it back into the profound Yin world under the longbow's indignant gaze. He did not kill the longbow. According to the longbow's memory, the true dragon clan possessed one of the 9 keys. The longbow's existence could help to unlock the seal on that key. The snow in the wild wasteland was getting heavier and heavier. The entire place had turned into a world of black snow. To the barbarians, it was a snow disaster. The situation of the barbarians was getting more and more difficult. On one hand, they had to deal with the snow disaster. On the other hand, they had to deal with the attacks of the wild beasts. At the same time, they had to be wary of the barbarians around them turning into beasts. In the 8th district of the unconquered barbarian domain, the Heavenly Barbarian City. The Heavenly Barbarian City was the largest city in the 8th district of the barbarian domain. Due to the large number of barbarian monks stationed in the city had always been peaceful and never feared the attacks of wild beasts. However, ever since the black snow fell from the sky, there would be barbarians who would transform into wild beasts without warning every day and wreak havoc in the city. Even if those wild beasts were killed by the barbarian monks in the end, there would still be many people who died in the mouths of the wild beasts. On the city wall of the Heavenly Barbarian City stood a beautiful woman in black who looked around 20 years old. She was wearing a monk's robe and holding a prayer bead in her hand. She used to have a common name, Zhao Dai, her. Now, her Dharma name was Shi Wei. She was one of the 3 great barbarian monks with the strongest abilities in the Heavenly Barbarian City. Shi Wei, Hubugui. She was waiting for Ning Fan's return. Due to the success of her barbarian technique, Zhao Dai could maintain her youthful appearance and extend her lifespan by borrowing the power of the masses. Her lifespan was a few times longer than a mortal. If her barbarian technique continued to improve, she would be able to live longer. Although barbarians couldn't cultivate, they could still extend their lifespan in this way. However, even though she could slow down her own aging, she couldn't slow down the aging of her parents. A barbarian who couldn't become a barbarian monk was destined to have a short lifespan. Her parents had already died a few years ago. As for her, because she cultivated the barbarian technique, she could have an extraordinarily long lifespan. 4 years ago, my father passed away. 3 years ago, my mother also passed away. Last year, Uncle Zhao San also passed away. Now, there are no more acquaintances from Bianliang in the Heavenly Barbarian City. Uncle, where are you? It's been 50 years. Why haven't you come to visit me? I miss you. I really miss you. Zhao Dai stood on the city wall and stared blankly at the black snow that covered the sky. She was missing Ning Fan and waiting for his return. Her fingers gently stroked the bone pendant on her neck. That was the present Ning Fan gave her when she reached adulthood. As time passed, she finally began to understand why Ning Fan was able to do so many strange things in the past. Ning Fan casually plucked a plum blossom and it turned into a spiritual herb in the mortal world. Ning Fan killed barbarian monks like ants with a wave of his hand. Ning Fan had never used any barbarian technique. He wasn't a barbarian monk. With Zhao Dai's experience, she could already guess that Uncle Ning Fan, whom she missed the most, might not be a barbarian. Could Uncle be a cultivator of a foreign race? Only a cultivator of a foreign race can possess cultivation base and display the power of an immortal like the barbarian ancestor without the help of the power of faith. Uncle once said that his hometown is very far away. It's so far that I won't be able to reach it in my lifetime. So, it turns out that Uncle's hometown isn't in the wild wilderness. That's the reason why I can't go there. Barbarian people can't leave the wild wilderness. If they leave, they will die. I can't go to Uncle's hometown. It's really regretful, Uncle. Do you still remember me? Have you forgotten me? Zhao Dai stroked the bone pendant on her neck. Her heart ached faintly. When she thought that she might have been forgotten by Ning Fan, even breathing hurt her. She suddenly regretted becoming a barbarian monk. She could only watch her relatives grow old and die without being able to stop them or accompany them. She could only live alone like this. It's so tiring. It was unknown when a snow eagle had flown over from the snowy sky. It was the messenger eagle that was reared by Heaven Man City. When the guards took the secret letter from the eagle and read it, their expressions immediately changed and reported to Zhao Dai, Master of Shiwei. Urgent report. Urgent report. 300 black barbarian monks have gathered an army of savage beasts and are invading our Heaven Man City. Zhao Dai's reminiscing expression immediately disappeared. Her pretty face turned cold. The black barbarian monks were obviously barbarians, but somehow, they could control savage beasts and make them obey their orders. In the past, the black barbarian monks didn't have the ability to control savage beasts. However, ever since the black snow fell from the sky, the black barbarian monks gained this strange ability, 300 black barbarian monks. I wonder if our Heaven Man City can withstand this attack. Even if we can, what about the next time? Zhao Dai's beautiful eyes looked at the countless barbarian statues on the city wall and sighed. Those barbarian statues were more or less broken. Sooner or later, they would be completely destroyed by the savage beasts that were attacking the city. That day would be the day of Heaven Man City's destruction. The urgent report quickly spread across the entire Heaven Man City. The 200 barbarian monks in Heaven Man City were all gathered on the city wall. Standing next to Zhao Dai were two other powerful barbarian monks. Their faces were solemn. An hour later, 300 black riders could be vaguely seen on the snowy plains in the distance. They were all black barbarian monks. Behind the black barbarian monks were nearly 100 giant savage beasts that charged towards Heaven Man City without a care for anything else. Hiss. This time, the black barbarian monks have attracted 100 savage beasts to attack the city. How can the remaining broken barbarian statues in Heaven Man City withstand the attack of 100 savage beasts? The barbarian monks of Heaven Man City were all in despair. Many of them began to close their eyes and chant scriptures. They were chanting the expiation scripture. It was obvious that they were prepared to die in battle. Zhao Dai's expression was very calm. She wasn't too afraid of the possibility of death. Death wasn't scary. To her, what was scary was living alone for a long time and not being able to wait for the person she was waiting for. Her beautiful eyes looked at the few plum trees below the city wall. She looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar red plum blossoms and smiled bitterly. The plum blossoms had bloomed again, but her uncle still hadn't come. Her uncle wouldn't come. He would never come again. Her uncle wasn't a barbarian. The wilderness wasn't his home. He might have left a long time ago. Zhao Dai gradually put away the sadness on her face. A hint of determination appeared in her beautiful eyes as she shouted and gave the order, "Fight to the death." Be it the barbarian monks or the soldiers guarding the city, all of them had solemn expressions on their faces as they prepared for the upcoming battle to the death. However, at that moment, 3 figures slowly walked over on the official road outside the city. The city gate was tightly shut. It seemed like the 3 of them couldn't enter the city and didn't intend to enter. The 2 women, one big and one small, remained outside the city gate. As for the white-robed man, he looked at the top of the city wall and smiled. He seemed to have said something, but no one could hear it clearly. Following that, the white-robed man walked toward the army of wild beasts in a relaxed manner. His white robe was dazzling in the midst of the black snow that filled the sky. He was alone in front of the army of savage beasts and he seemed so insignificant. Is that person crazy? He's actually walking towards the army of savage beasts. He doesn't want to live anymore. Many of the soldiers guarding the city began to exclaim. Zhao Dai was the only one who stood there blankly, unable to believe the scene in front of her. Her uncle whom she had been missing for a long time actually came at this moment. She had no idea that the bone pendant on her neck was glowing faintly. Only when she was in a life-threatening situation would the bone pendant emit light. Ning Fan came to the Heaven Barbarian City because he sensed the light. "Don't be afraid," Ning Fan's voice resounded in Zhao Dai's ears. Apart from making her feel relieved, it also made her feel a little wronged. Tears flowed down uncontrollably from her eyes. She had waited for 50 years and Ning Fan had finally come. There's actually a madman who wants to stop the army of savage beasts by himself. Ha! Kill him! Among the 300 black barbarian monks, many of them immediately let out a bloodthirsty sneer. Some of them even drew their blades from their waist and rushed towards Ning Fan on their horses. Ning Fan did not even look at the black barbarian monks who were rushing towards him. His 5 fingers were wrapped in barbaric flashes of light. He raised his hand and clawed, as if he was holding the entire sky in his hand. Then, he forcefully tore it apart. The ground in front of him that was covered with black snow was immediately torn apart from the middle as if it was being torn apart by someone. The sky that was covered with black snow was directly torn apart by Ning Fan, revealing the dark and gloomy void behind it. The black and red barbaric flashes of the black barbarian monks flew towards the black barbarian monks and the army of savage beasts before they could even react. Before the 300 black barbarian monks could react, they were all killed by the power of the barbaric flash along with their horses. Their bodies and flesh were scattered all over the ground. How could mere mortals resist the might of the barbaric flash? Nearly 100 savage beasts were filled with fear. They wanted to flee but they could not do so in time and were directly killed by the barbaric flash. Even the savage beasts that were comparable to life immortal realm experts were no match for Ning Fan at all. Even a few early crossing truth realm savage beasts were powerless to resist the barbaric flash and were killed by Ning Fan in a single strike. On the city wall of the Heaven Barbarian City, all the barbarian monks and soldiers were shocked. The image of Ning Fan who was wearing white robes and annihilating all the savage beasts while the earth was splitting and the sky was collapsing made their hearts palpitate. A foreign race. This man must be a foreign cultivator. Moreover, even among the foreign races, he is definitely an extremely powerful existence. Some of the more experienced barbarian monks exclaimed in shock. Chapter 878. Black snow fell from the sky like the feathers of a crow. The warmth of the corpses on the ground gradually turned cold and stiff. The blood of the corpses also gradually solidified. Be it the savage beasts or the black barbarian monks, their blood was black, dirty and evil. Ning Fan looked at the black blood on the ground thoughtfully. Countless barbarians of Heavenly Man's city climbed up the city walls and looked at Ning Fan in fear. They were already convinced that Ning Fan was a foreign cultivator. Compared to the savage beasts that were suppressed by the barbaric statues, the barbarians were more afraid of a foreign cultivator who was not suppressed by the barbaric statues. If a foreign cultivator wants to massacre the barbarian city, almost no one could stop him. Everyone, don't be afraid. He is not an enemy. Zhao Dai's cold voice spread in the wind and snow, entering the ears of every barbarian. The expressions of those barbarians became doubtful. It was hard for them to believe that Ning Fan, who was an ominous star, was not an enemy. As if to prove Zhao Dai's words, Ning Fan, Lu Yan and Xian Loli turned into a ray of light and flew up the city walls. They appeared in front of Zhao Dai with a smile. There was no hostility in their eyes. The fear on many barbarians' faces lessened slightly. However, they still did not dare to breathe too loudly. After Du Zhen, Ning Fan's appearance returned to its youthful state. He no longer looked old. He was even younger than what Zhao Dai remembered. Zhao Dai stared at Ning Fan blankly. After 50 years of hardship and waiting, the person she wanted to see had finally arrived. However, her eyes were blurred with tears and she choked with sobs. Ning Fan looked at Zhao Dai, who had achieved success in her barbaric technique, and revealed a gratified smile. His expression was gentle like a senior looking at a junior. However, after scanning the Heavenly Man's city with his spirit sense, Ning Fan's eyes dimmed and he sighed softly. With the strength of his spirit sense, he could easily find the Zhao mansion in the city. However, what made him feel regretful was that there was no qi of Zhao Boyang and his wife in the mansion. However, their memorial tablets were enshrined there. My old friends have already passed away. I have no chance to meet them. Can you bring me to pay my respects to Brother Boyang? Ning Fan sighed. He reached out his hand and stroked Zhao Dai's silky black hair with a sad expression. Zhao Dai's eyes dimmed and she nodded. On this night, Ning Fan sat alone in front of Zhao Boyang's grave. He drank alone until the third watch of the night. Zhao Boyang was a friend of his in the mortal world whom he got to know when he was transforming into a mortal. It had been 50 years since they last met. Ning Fan felt somewhat regretful that he could not see him again. He was indifferent to life and death, so he naturally wouldn't be too sorrowful. However, he was rather regretful that he lost a mortal friend to discuss Confucianism with. In this world, there were people dying every minute and every second, but how many of them could make Ning Fan feel regret? The snow was getting heavier, and the night was as dark as ink, like a nightmare that could not be broken free from. Under Lu Yan's care, Xian Loli had already fallen asleep. Occasionally, he would raise his wine gourd and gulp down mouthfuls of wine. Then, he would raise his head and look at the night sky with a perplexed expression. Seeing the passing of an old friend actually evoked a trace of nostalgia in him, causing him to once again recall his hometown that was far away in the rain world. The god of war art had broken through to the fourth transformation, and he had achieved his goal of coming to the boorish land. He had even broken through to the crossing truth intermediate stage. It was time to return to Eastern Sky and save Battle King. Lu Yan had also completed the Harmonious Spirit Realm mission in the astrolabe a long time ago. Once he returns to Eastern Heaven, he could go to the true lightning world at any time. It was time to fulfill Lightning Emperor Tai Su's last wish. After that, he would accompany Ouyang Nuan to the Extreme Pill sacred region. After that, where should he go? Should he go home and have a look? It seemed like he could not return to the rain world from Eastern Heaven. He had to go back to the rain world from Northern Heaven or Southern Heaven. Who asked him to give up the immortal seed to become an immortal? Looking at the red plum tree beside the grave, Ning Fan's eyes became even more dazed. He somewhat missed the snow in Seven Apricot City. Ever since I started cultivating, I have broken through life and death, understood the void and comprehended the truth, and achieved my current cultivation base. Master is just Duzhen and Emperor Xia is just comparable to Duzhen. As for me, I am also Duzhen. In the past, Bone Sovereign, Moksha Sovereign and Void Fragmentation Sovereign Realm cultivators had a cultivation base as high as a mountain, making me breathless. Now, Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators are not worth mentioning in my eyes. In the ancient heavenly court, I was once chased by a life immortal. Now, a life immortal is just like a flower in front of me. The sect leader of the Pill sect is Duzhen. He was once a great enemy that I was extremely afraid of. Now, he is merely a turtle in a jar. If there is time, I don't even need to use all my trump cards to flatten the Pill sect and avenge Ming Quebec Pill sect is nothing but a skeleton in its grave. My cultivation base is getting higher and higher but my home is getting further and further away. Has Master's wife awakened? Has Mother awakened? Does Father still love to drink as much as before? How many plum blossoms have bloomed in Sifan Palace of 7 Apricot City this year? Ninggu, how many reincarnations have you gone through? Gudong Gudong in the dead of the night, only the sound of the wind and the sound of Ning Fan drinking spiritual wine could be heard. Even though his cultivation base was already so high, he still could not stop moving forward. Does this path of cultivation have an end? I don't know. The only thing I can do is to keep moving forward. There are still strong enemies behind me. They won't allow me to stop moving forward. Great Emperor Mo Luo, Old Ancestor Du Long, Immortal Emperor Zhang Qing and that silver-haired Immortal Emperor who had schemed against my parents. There are still many strong enemies. Ning Fan suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out a cloaked puppet from it. This cloaked puppet was obtained by Ning Fan after he killed the thousand-eyed old man in the cave world of the Six Desires Immortal King. It was a puppet of desire and it could only be controlled by the puppet strings of the Six Desires. After the battle in the past, Ning Fan had obtained 2 puppets of desire. One of them was the early Shedding Kong Realm Ancient Devil puppet while the other one was this puppet. This puppet had a powerful aura force comparable to the mid-thought fragmentation realm. If Ning Fan could control this puppet, old monster Shi Kong would be nothing. He would kill almost every single one of them. In the past, my cultivation base wasn't strong enough to control this puppet. Now, I can give it a try. With a thought, Ning Fan unsealed the power of the Yin-Yang Rain technique and the Yin-Yang Battle technique. His aura force immediately skyrocketed to a level that was close to the Shedding Kong realm. After activating the 4th transformation of his battle art, his ancient devil cultivation base immediately rose to the 4th nirvana of the heavenly devil realm. Then, he used the soul extracting technique. Under the dual cultivation of body and essence, Ning Fan's aura force completely broke through the bottleneck of the Shedding Kong realm and reached the early Shedding Kong realm. He activated the power of the 6 desires bone in his body to its maximum. Countless invisible puppet strings of desire flew out from his fingertips and entered the body of the cloaked puppet. The moment the puppet strings entered its body, its eyes shone with a dark green light, releasing a shocking aura force similar to that of an awakened giant dragon. Under Ning Fan's deliberate control, the aura force was limited to the area of the graveyard. It did not spread too far to avoid scaring the barbarians in the Heavenly Man City. In order to activate the puppet, Ning Fan's magic power was being consumed at a terrifying speed. Under his full control, the puppet finally moved. I can control this puppet but it's barely enough. After all, I'm not a true Shedding Kong realm cultivator yet. My magic power is still insufficient. Ning Fan stopped transferring his magic power to the puppet and resealed the Yin-Yang realm, Rain realm and Battle realm. The dark green light in the puppet's eyes immediately disappeared and its eyes became empty. After keeping the puppet, Ning Fan stood alone in the darkness and drank spiritual wine. No one knew what he was thinking about. Zhao Dai quietly watched Ning Fan's back without disturbing him. She just watched him for the entire night. After waiting for 50 years, Ning Fan had finally returned. Her heart was filled with emotions, but she kept all of them in her heart. It had become a secret and she did not say it out loud. The snow was getting heavier. Zhao Dai's thoughts flew back to the past along with the snowflakes. At that time, she was still young. She spent her days watching Ning Fan build snowmen and pluck plum blossoms. Do you want to go back to Bianliang to have a look? Ning Fan's voice suddenly resounded in her ears, giving her a fright. I do, but Bianliang is too far away, it's not far. I also want to go back to Bianliang to have a look. Why don't you accompany me there? We'll be back before dawn. What do you think? Before Zhao Dai could react, she suddenly let out a cry and her face blushed. Her body felt light and Ning Fan held her waist. They turned into a golden rainbow and soared into the sky. Before the night was over, Ning Fan carried Zhao Dai and directly flew back to Bianliang City from the Heavenly Man City with a golden ray of light. Due to the black snow, Bianliang City had been repeatedly attacked by the wild beasts. Now, it was already in a state of complete ruin. Since it was already late at night, it looked even more desolate. Zhao Dai had not returned to Bianliang for 50 years. She did not dare to recognize this dilapidated barbarian city at all. She could not imagine that this was the once prosperous Bianliang City. 50 years had passed. Bianliang City had changed a lot. Only the water of the Bianliang River remained the same. The weather was still cold and chilly. Red plum blossoms were still blooming on both sides of the river. However, the snowflakes were no longer pure white. They had turned pitch black, which did not match the red plum blossoms at all. Things remained the same, but people had changed. It made her want to cry, but she could not cry. The most heartless thing in this world was time. Once it passed, it could never be returned. Don't cry. The plum blossoms are still here. Even though the snow is as black as ink and not as white as it used to be, we can still build snowmen. Ning Fan casually plucked a red plum blossom and inserted it into Zhao Dai's temple. With a faint smile, he turned around to build a snowman. Zhao Dai suddenly recalled the past when she was young. At that time, she begged Ning Fan to build 5 snowmen and even gave all of them a specific identity. This is my father. This is my mother. This is Sister Sia. This is Dai. This is Uncle. Let's live a happy life together. We will be happy and carefree. Uncle, build a snowman for Dai. When Dai grows up, you must marry me. I want you to build snowmen for me every day. Zhao Dai's eyes turned red and her vision blurred with tears. The 5 snowmen in the past had already passed away. Now, only Ning Fan and her were still alive. Don't cry. In this world, you still have a relative like me. Ning Fan patted Zhao Dai's head. This time, he only built 2 snowmen. One was big and the other was small. The way he looked at Zhao Dai was like a junior or a relative. His gaze was a little harsh, but it made Zhao Dai feel attached to him. Uncle, according to the books, it is not difficult for the cultivators of the foreign races to live up to 100,000 years or even 1,000,000 years after they become immortals. Is this true? Yes. Can Uncle also live that long? If I don't die on the path of cultivation, should be able to live for that long. Ning Fan answered with uncertainty. What a pity. Dai can't live for that long. Even if I'm a powerful barbarian monk, I can only live for a few hundred years at most. After a few hundred years, when Uncle comes to the wild wilderness again, you won't be able to see me anymore. Unless I can become an existence like the barbarian ancestor, otherwise. Zhao Dai lowered her head. This was the main reason why she did not have the courage to confess her love to Ning Fan. Her lifespan and Ning Fan's were too different. Ning Fan sighed softly. He did not know what to say to comfort her. Ever since the seventh barbarian ancestor performed a blood sacrifice in the wild wilderness, the barbarians could not live forever due to certain reasons. Even though Ning Fan had given Zhao Dai many pills to consume, it could only slightly prolong her lifespan. It could not make her live forever. Uncle, don't show such an expression. Dai is not used to it. I'm already satisfied to be able to meet you in my lifetime. Zhao Dai mustered all her courage. Her cheeks were so red that it seemed like blood would drip from them. She reached out her hand, trying to hold Ning Fan's hand. Unfortunately, before she could touch Ning Fan, her action was interrupted by the laughter of an old man. Ha! Little friend, you've finally returned to Bianliang City. You've really made me wait for a long time. If you still haven't returned after another half a year, I would have to go ahead with the other fellow Taoists to search for that fortune. Little friend, you've succeeded. Hiss. I haven't seen you for 50 years and you've already reached the intermediate crossing true realm. In the darkness of the Bian River, a gaily painted boat suddenly sailed towards them. There was only an old man on the boat. He stood on the snowy river with his hands clasped behind his back and a smile on his face. This old man was none other than Kei Shensi, who Ning Fan had met 50 years ago. Oh. I didn't expect to reunite with Senior here. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and flew to Kei Shensi's gaily painted boat with Zhao Dai. This is. Kei Shensi's gaze swept across Zhao Dai and asked with slight surprise. I'm a descendant of an old acquaintance. Hee. So that's how it is. There's still half a year before the fortune that I mentioned in the past appears. How about it? Little friend, are you willing to explore the northern region with me and search for that fortune? Kei Shensi changed the topic and did not pay too much attention to Zhao Dai. Even though she was a barbarian monk, she was still very weak and did not attract his attention. Zhao Dai obediently did not interrupt. She could tell that Kei Shensi's cultivation base was extremely terrifying. He was a powerful being of a foreign race. Could the fortune that Senior mentioned be the Chen tree? Ning Fan asked with a smile. As soon as his voice fell, Kei Shensi's expression immediately changed and he looked at him in disbelief. After a long time, he revealed a look of admiration and laughed heartily. Little friend is indeed extraordinary. You actually know that the fortune that I mentioned is the Chen tree. In the four heavens, there aren't many cultivators who know about the Chen tree. I wonder, how did you know about the origin of the Chen tree? Senior, why don't you tell me how dangerous the journey to the northern region will be? I wonder how many helpers Senior has invited other than me. Oh. Little friend, are you willing to help me go to the northern region and search for the Chen tree? Kei Shensi's eyes lit up. Junior would like to hear Senior's answer first before giving my answer. Hee. Little friend, you are a cautious person. Fine. In order to win your help with your celestial being realm cultivation base, I will tell you the details of this journey. As soon as he finished speaking, Kei Shensi took out a jade slip and carved something on it before handing it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan scanned the jade slip with his spirit sense and his expression changed slightly. After tens of breaths, he returned the jade slip to Kei Shensi and pondered. The demon race had occupied 7 great barbarian regions in the desolate land. The location of the Chen tree was located in the Yellow River Snow Valley at the periphery of the 7 regions. It was sealed in a secret place and guarded by a few experts of the demon race. Currently, the desolate land had fallen into chaos. All the experts of the demon race had left their nests. In order to break the sealing incomplete formation, they spared no effort. Thus, there weren't many experts left to guard the headquarters. If Ning Fan sneaked into the Yellow River Snow Valley and stole the Chen tree and Chen flower at this time, it wouldn't be too dangerous. If he could obtain the Chen tree and Chen flower, the cultivator who opened the first gate of the celestial being realm would have a chance to open the second gate of the celestial being realm. To Ning Fan, the Chen flower was indeed a great temptation. The passage leading to the ancient realm of the desolate land would open once every 10 years. There were still 2 years before the next opening. Before leaving the desolate land, Ning Fan didn't mind going to the Yellow River Snow Valley to steal the Chen tree and Chen flower. Other than me, there are 4 other fellow Taoists on this trip. The lowest cultivation base is at the Peak Crossing Truth Realm. All of them are powerful cultivators of the Northern Heaven Immortal World. Each of them has their own abilities and each of them is helpful in plucking the Chen flower. If little friend joins the team, there will be a total of 6 people on this trip. How about it? Little friend, are you willing to go with me to pluck the Chen flower? Kei Shensi asked expectantly. Ning Fan's cultivation base was not enough for Kei Shensi to pay attention to him. However, Ning Fan was a cultivator who had attained the unity of heaven and man after all. It would be helpful for him to pluck the Chen flower. All right. Junior is also very interested in the Chen flower. Why can't I follow Senior to pluck the Chen flower? However, I don't know how to distribute the Chen flower. Ha! Of course, the Chen flower belongs to the one who plucks it. If it's possible, I will try my best to help you pluck some Chen flowers. As for the others, I may not help them. Kei Shensi let out a heartless smile. Even though they were working in a team, if they want to pluck the Chen flower, they would still need to rely on their own abilities. I see. Ning Fan revealed a thoughtful expression. At this moment, 4 rays of light suddenly appeared in the night sky of the Bian River. There were 3 males and 1 female. All of them were human cultivators. Among the 4 cultivators, the female cultivator had the highest cultivation base. She was a beautiful woman in blue robes. She was at the mid-shedding void realm. Her beautiful eyes were cold and she carried a cold aura that kept people 1,000 miles away. As for the other 3, one of them was a dwarf who had an early shedding void realm cultivation base. The other one was a burly man who was also at the early shedding void realm. The last man had 4 eyes. Even though his cultivation base was only at the Peak Crossing Truth Realm, his whole body was shrouded with a strange and evil chi. The 4 of them flew over and directly landed on Kei Shensi's boat. They were the other 4 helpers that Kei Shensi had invited. The beautiful woman in blue robes just gave Ning Fan an indifferent glance and then moved her eyes away arrogantly. Obviously, she was not interested in Ning Fan. Instead, she raised her eyebrows at Zhao Dai, who was a barbarian monk. As soon as the burly man boarded the boat, he burst into laughter. His body emitted an extremely strong aura of essence chi. Obviously, he was a body refinement cultivator. His eyes immediately lit up when he saw Ning Fan. Then, he shook his head slightly as if he was regretting that Ning Fan was only at the first nirvana of the heavenly devil body refinement realm. As for the man with 4 eyes, he did not utter a single word from the beginning to the end, just like a zombie. The dwarf was only as tall as Ning Fan's waist. His expression was wild and arrogant. As soon as he boarded the boat, he glanced at Ning Fan and immediately asked Kei Shensi. Fellow Taoist Kei Shensi, could this person be the helper that you mentioned? What's the use of a ghost profound realm cultivator? I don't want to bring a burden to pluck flowers. The dwarf snorted coldly, as if he did not know the fact that Ning Fan was a heavenly being cultivator. The integration of heaven and man was a very important matter. Kei Shensi did not tell anyone about it. He. Fellow Taoist too is wrong. This fellow Taoist Ning is no longer a ghost profound realm cultivator but a mid-crossing truth realm cultivator. Kei Shensi smiled meaningfully. Mid-crossing truth realm. This young man only spent 50 years to break through to the mid-crossing truth realm and cultivate to the mid-crossing truth realm. The dwarf exclaimed. The other 3 people also looked at Ning Fan with astonishment. The dwarf looked at Ning Fan's expression again. Suddenly, he grinned, revealing his white teeth and said. Little friend, do you also want to go with us to pluck the dust flower? Yes. If you want to join the team, sure. As long as you can pass my test. The dwarf's eyes swept across Ning Fan like lightning. He spoke arrogantly, like a senior looking at a junior. What test? Ning Fan asked expressionlessly. Use your full strength and attack me. If you can make me move half a step on this boat, I will acknowledge your strength and allow you to join the team to search for the dust flower. The dwarf sneered. He did not believe that Ning Fan had the strength to make him move half a step. Are you sure? Ning Fan stared at the dwarf expressionlessly. For some unknown reason, the dwarf's heart trembled a little as he felt a great sense of inexplicability. Strange. This young man is obviously just a junior of Duzhen. Why is he able to make my heart tremble with just a gaze? Of course, the dwarf did not know that Ning Fan was a ruthless person who could even kill a mid-shedding Void Realm cultivator. That was the reason why his heart trembled. Hee. I'm sure. Make your move. If you can make me move half a step, I'll be especially merciful and allow you to join the team. Wash up and go to sleep. Chapter 879. As soon as he finished speaking, the midget calmed down and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes narrowed slightly. His expression was that of an old man, waiting for Ning Fan to make his move. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes fell on Ning Fan, the midget man. Kei Shensi frowned. He knew that the midget was powerful. The midget man was extremely proficient in earth elemental defensive divine ability, and he cultivated a forbidden technique called mountain-piercing scales. It was impossible for cultivators below the void-shedding realm to force the midget man to take half a step back. In Kei Shensi's opinion, Ning Fan probably couldn't do it as well. This test was purely to make things difficult for him. The beautiful lady in blue robes gently shook her head. She also did not think that Ning Fan had the strength to repel the midget man. The four-eyed man closed his eyes and chose to ignore Ning Fan. He was already certain that Ning Fan would not be able to pass the next test. The burly man shook his head repeatedly. Among the three realms of the true immortal realm, the crossing truth realm was just the threshold of the true immortal realm. Only the shedding void realm experts were the experts among the true immortals. He did not think that the mid-crossing truth realm Ning Fan would be able to defeat the early shedding void realm midget man. Old Earth's pangolin scale armor has already been cultivated to the 7th level. There is no suspense in this test at all. This child cannot pass the test. The burly man shook his head. Uncle. Zhao Dai's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of worry. Even she could faintly see that the midget man was bullying the young. Junior, make your move. Show me your full strength and let me see if you have the qualifications to travel with us. The midget's eyes fell on Ning Fan's body, but he didn't show any emotion. He only used 30% of his magical power to protect himself from Ning Fan's incoming attack. His expression was calm and unhurried. His aura force was steady and reserved, but it gave Ning Fan a heavy feeling like a mountain. This person cultivates the Tao of mountains. A mountain is a mountain because it doesn't move. I'm afraid it won't be as easy to make this person move even half a step. Kei Shensi and the others are all old ancestors of a region. They all have their own pride. If I don't have enough strength, I won't be able to win their respect. In the cultivation world, strength speaks louder than words. Ning Fan stared at the midget coldly and unsealed his yin-yang battle technique. A heavy sense of oppression gradually rose from his body and his black hair fluttered without wind. That heaviness made the midget's chest feel heavy, and his Tao heart actually wavered for a moment. At this moment, Ning Fan had only unsealed his battle yin-yang. However, his aura force had almost reached the peak of crossing truth realm. Without saying anything unnecessary, Ning Fan took a step forward, raised his right hand and pressed his 5 fingers forward. As soon as he pressed his palm down, the entire heaven and earth actually froze. Ning Fan extracted a trace of battle intent from the earth veins in the mountains and lakes and the bodies of the birds and beasts, forming an illusory palm imprint that was burning with the flames of battle. Then, it suddenly slammed towards the midget man. The moment the palm struck out, the midget's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. There was no longer any trace of calmness on his face. Within that palm, there was a will that came from the heavens and was above the heavens and earth. Even if the heavens and earth were in its way, it would crush the heavens and earth. The midget felt like he was hallucinating. The one who attacked him was not Ning Fan but all the living beings in the world. It was as if the battle intent of the entire heaven and earth had merged into his palm. If he was hit by that will, countless cracks would immediately appear on his Tao heart and it would be burned to ashes by the flames of battle of all living beings. This young man clearly just casually struck out with his palm. Why does it have such terrifying power? The midget's expression changed drastically. He no longer dared to face the palm head-on with just 30% of his magic power. Instead, he directly activated all of his magic power and punched his chest, making a muffled sound. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a putrid yellow qi. As soon as that yellow qi was formed, it immediately turned into a huge rock hand that grabbed at the palm imprint. However, it was directly smashed into countless pieces of rocks by the palm imprint. Almost at the same time, the palm imprint broke through the defense of the rocks and arrived at the midget's chest in an instant. A terrifying sense of crisis spread throughout the midget's body, causing his face to turn pale. Without any hesitation, he immediately activated his strongest defensive divine ability. Mountain-piercing scales appear. The midget's eyes widened and the veins on his forehead protruded. He suddenly clapped his hands together and 7 layers of dark yellow scales instantly appeared on the surface of his body, covering his clothes. From afar, he seemed to have turned into a pangolin. As soon as the palm imprint landed on the 7 layers of scales, it immediately caved in deeply. In just a moment, the first layer of scales was directly shattered. The powerful force forced the midget to take 3 steps back before he could stabilize his body slightly. Half a breath later, the second layer of scales was once again shattered by the palm imprint. The midget took another 5 steps back. Another half a breath later, the remaining force of the palm imprint was exhausted. However, it had also shattered the third layer of scales, causing the midget to take another 7 steps back. In total, the midget took 15 steps back. He had already retreated to the side of the ship. If he took another half step back, he would definitely fall off the ship and into the river. Looking at the deep palm imprint on the 7 layers of scales on his chest, the midget swallowed his saliva. If he did not summon the mountain-piercing scales at the last moment, he would definitely be severely injured by that palm imprint. That was really close. Seniors, what do you think? With this junior's strength, do I have the qualifications to join the team? Ning Fan resealed Zhang Yinyang and asked indifferently. The midget was not his mortal enemy. Thus, he did not use his full strength. Otherwise, the midget would not only have his 3 layers of scales crumbled and he would also be forced to take 15 steps back. It was highly possible that Ning Fan would break through all 7 layers of scales. If that happens, he would either die or be severely injured. Even though Ning Fan did not use his full strength, it was enough to shock everyone on the scene. Ning Fan's eyes indifferently swept across everyone. Except for Kei Shenxi and Zhao Dai, everyone felt a pressure that was as heavy as a mountain. Kei Shenxi was able to ignore Ning Fan's aura force because he was at the peak of void-shedding realm. As for Zhao Dai, Ning Fan naturally would not use his aura force to intimidate her. Cough cough. It's my fault for not seeing through little friend's hidden strength. With little friend's strength, you naturally have the qualifications to join this trip. I don't have any objections. The midget's lips twitched and said awkwardly. Giggle. Little friend, you really don't show off your true strength. You can draw the battle intent of heaven and earth into your palm. Even I find it difficult to deal with such a profound ability. I don't have any objections to joining the team. The beautiful woman in blue robes who had an arrogant expression before was now smiling brightly. Her eyes were filled with tenderness and enthusiasm. She was like a completely different person from before. However, no one knew how much of this enthusiasm was real or fake. I agree with fellow Taoist Ning joining the team. The four-eyed man's hoarse voice sounded. It was filled with fear. The four-eyed man asked himself honestly. No matter what, he would not be able to withstand Ning Fan's palm strike with his own strength. Only by opening the forbidden coffin could he possibly withstand it. Of course, I don't have any objections. The burly man laughed. When he looked at Ning Fan again, it was as if he was looking at a cultivator of the same generation. Since the four old monsters had no objections, Ning Fan could be considered to have successfully joined the team. Kei Shensi began to introduce the four old monsters to Ning Fan. The four old monsters also began to exchange pleasantries with Ning Fan. Even the midget man who was almost injured by Ning Fan's palm strike showed a pleasant expression. There was no trace of resentment or anger on his face. Those old monsters who could cultivate to the void-shedding realm or were close to it were all people with demonic wisdom and shrewdness. Naturally, they would do some superficial things very well. After Kei Shensi's introduction, Ning Fan had a preliminary understanding of the four old monsters. The four old monsters were the same as Kei Shensi. They were all cultivators of the northern heaven. The beautiful woman in blue robes was an elder of the northern heaven's Guanghan Palace. She was known as Han Wu Fairy. Her temperament was cold and serious. Of course, that was only her attitude towards the younger generation. If she was facing her peers or seniors, she naturally wouldn't dare to be cold. This woman had broken through to the mid-void shedding realm for nearly 1,000,000 years. Therefore, her strength was considered to be extremely strong among the mid-void shedding realm cultivators. There was a ray of moonlight hidden in her glabella. It seemed to be a life-saving divine ability. That ray of moonlight gave Ning Fan a sense of crisis. In ancient times, the Guanghan Palace had also given birth to immortal emperors. Moreover, they had a close relationship with the ancient heavenly court. However, after the ancient heavenly court was destroyed, the immortal emperors of the Guanghan Palace also disappeared. It was said that they died in the ancient heavenly court. After that, no more immortal emperors were born in the Guanghan Palace. However, there were 10,000 ancient monsters in every generation. It was considered one of the peak forces of the northern heaven immortal world. Since this woman can become an elder of the Guanghan Palace, she really can't be underestimated. Ning Fan thought to himself. The burly man was one of the old ancestors of the Guan family in the northern heaven. His name was Guan Taiyun. People called him Old Ancestor Taiyun. At the same time, he had an early void-shedding realm cultivation base. He was also a pseudo-ancient devil body cultivator at the fourth nirvana of the heavenly devil realm. The Guan family wasn't considered a great force in the northern heaven. There was nothing special about this man. Hence, he didn't attract Ning Fan's attention. The four-eyed man was a cultivator from the corpse devil ancient region in the northern heaven. He was known as the four-eyed devil lord. It was said that he had already touched the bottleneck of the void-shedding realm. Within tens of thousands of years, there was a great chance for him to step into the void-shedding realm. There were dozens of evil corpse chi hidden in his body. Some of them were similar to the chi of a corpse devil but some were not. Only Ning Fan, who was a corpse devil himself, could sense those corpse chi. Compared to old ancestor Iron Cloud, this man might have hidden even deeper. Ning Fan thought to himself. The midget man was just a rogue cultivator. The people of the northern heaven called him Old Earth Monster. His mountain-piercing scales was extremely powerful among cultivators of the same level. However, he wasn't worth mentioning to Ning Fan. Kei Shensi took out 5 jade slips of maps and gave one to each of Ning Fan's group. There is still half a year before the dust tree blossoms. Half a year later, on the day of the full moon of the Savage Moon, we will meet here and go to the Yellow River Snow Valley together. Before that, I hope that all of you will be well prepared for this trip. After all, we will be sneaking into the hinterland of the demon race. The dangers we will face won't be few. The map was the latest map of the wilderness. There was a black dot marked in the 19th area. The black dot was the location of the meeting place half a year later. After doing all this, everyone discussed for a while to finalize some details of the trip. Only then did they leave. Only Ning Fan and Zhao Dai were left on the pleasure boat. The night was over and dawn was approaching. However, the snow was falling even more heavily. "Uncle, are those people like you? Are they cultivators of other races?" Zhao Dai asked faintly. "N. Are you planning to do a very dangerous thing? Can you not go?" "Dai is worried about Uncle, don't worry. Uncle is stronger than you think. There won't be much danger on this trip. Even if there is, Uncle will be able to escape unscathed. Uncle is very interested in the dust flower that can help in opening the second door of the celestial being realm. Speaking of which, according to the information given to me by Senior Kei Shensi, even if an ordinary person consumes the dust flower, it can also increase their comprehension. And, if this trip goes smoothly, I will pluck a few more dust flowers and give them to Dai, Ning Fan said with a smile. In half a year's time, he would be going to the hinterland of the demon race with Kei Shensi and the others to steal the dust flowers. It was time for him to make some preparations. After daybreak, Ning Fan left Bianliang with Zhao Dai and returned to Heaven Barbarian City to begin his seclusion that would last for half a year. During this half a year, Ning Fan only did one thing, and that was to get used to the burden of controlling the thought-severing puppet. He continuously trained himself and practiced controlling the puppet day after day. With Ning Fan's current strength, he could only slightly control the puppet by using his full strength. As Ning Fan's cultivation base improved, the time he needed to unseal the Rain Yin Yang and Battle Yin Yang had been extended from 1 hour to 2 hours. After half a year of hard work, Ning Fan could finally make the puppet launch a simple attack. Even though it was just a simple attack, it was an attack of the thought-severing puppet after all. In the sky-sacrificing realm, there were probably not many people who could withstand the attack of the thought-severing puppet. Without a doubt, this increased Ning Fan's ability to protect himself during his trip to the celestial being realm. During this half a year, 60% of the incomplete formations in the ancient wild desolate region were destroyed by the immortal venerables of the human race, while the remaining 40% were successfully unsealed by the demon race. After unsealing, the incomplete formations merged into the ancient wild desolate region and could no longer be destroyed. However, as too many of the incomplete formations were destroyed, the demon race's scheme had to be delayed indefinitely again. The snow was getting lighter and lighter. The snow disaster that troubled countless barbarians was gradually passing. Old Ancestor Du Long felt incomparably resentful. First, his reverse nascent soul was destroyed. Then, his incomplete formations were destroyed. Within a short period of time, it would be very difficult for the demon race to carry out their scheme. In his fury, Old Ancestor Du Long carried out his revenge plan. He gathered the army of the demon race and gathered them in the 4th region. He personally oversaw the front line and began to constantly harass and invade the borders of the 5 regions of the human race. For this reason, 2 immortal venerables of the human race also led experts to guard the borders. Small-scale battles began to occur frequently at the borders of the 5 regions of the human race. However, they did not escalate into a major war or a realm war. So many of the incomplete formations have been destroyed. I wonder if the demon race's scheme has failed. Ning Fan would use his rain technique once every few days to spy on the situation in the ancient wild desolate region. As the date of the celestial being realm was getting closer and closer, Ning Fan finally decided to leave Lu Yen in the lowly in heaven barbarian city. He would go to the 19th region alone to meet up with Kei Shensi and the others. After all, it was deep into the territory of the demon race. There were many dangers. It was enough for Ning Fan to take the risk alone. It was impossible for him to bring the lowly along. Because of the evolution of her lightning body, the lowly could not be kept into the world treasure space. Because Zhao Dai was a barbarian, she could not enter the world treasure space either. Once she enters, she would be killed by the Tao of the realm. If that was not the case, Ning Fan would be very happy to bring the lowly and Zhao Dai with him for peace of mind. Peace of mind? Can I really have peace of mind? One day, I will leave the ancient wild desolate region. As for Dai, she is rejected by the four heavenly Tao because of her identity as a barbarian. She can't leave the ancient wild desolate region. There are many wars in the ancient wild desolate region. Also, there are frequent attacks by barbarian beasts. If I am not there, can Dai be safe in the ancient wild desolate region? Even if Dai can be safe, her lifespan is only a few hundred years. Barbarians can't live forever. Ning Fan refined all the broken lightning into lightning pills and gave them to the lowly. Then, he gave Lu Yen and Zhao Dai some advice and gave them some life-saving items. With a sigh, he flew away from Heaven Barbarian City and headed to the 19th region. The meeting place was a barbarian mountain in the north of the 19th region. This mountain was connected to the 7 domains of the demon race. It was not far away from the Yellow River Snow Valley. When Ning Fan arrived, there were already 3 people on the peak of the mountain. Ning Fan was the 4th to arrive. The four-eyed devil sovereign and Old Earth were still not here. Old Earth was the 5th to arrive. His Earth escape technique had reached perfection. After all, Ning Fan only sensed his chi when they were 10,000 li away from the barbarian mountain. The four-eyed devil sovereign was the last to arrive. The reason why he was late was because he was refining the forbidden corpse. Hee. Everyone is finally here. Next, this old man will talk about the specific plan of attacking the Snow Valley. Kei Shensi took out a scroll made of beast skin and unfolded it, revealing the precise map of the Yellow River Snow Valley. In ancient times, the Yellow River Snow Valley was located at the source of the Yellow River. However, due to the great changes in the terrain of the ancient wild desolate region, the Yellow River Snow Valley had long been sealed in a secret barrier at the border of the 7 domains by a powerful expert of the demon race. The dust flower could increase a cultivator's comprehension ability. If they were lucky, it could even help them open the gate of heaven. With such a magical effect, the dust flower was naturally valued by the demon race. Unfortunately, ever since the demon race obtained the dust tree, countless powerful experts of the demon race had tried to pluck the dust flower from the dust tree. However, all of them failed without exception. Gradually, the demon race no longer valued the dust flower as much as they did in the beginning. Every time the dust flower bloomed, they would only send some demon cultivators to try and pluck it. Of course, they would still fail in the end. The dust tree blooms once every 5 million years. The flower will wither after 45 minutes. Therefore, we can't be too late to attack the Snow Valley. Otherwise, the flower will wither. We can't be too early either. If we are too early, we will have to wait for the flower to bloom for too long. During this period of time, I'm afraid we will attract countless demon cultivators to attack us. This old man once obtained an ancient book in a secret place in the ancient wild desolate region. According to the ancient book, in order to pluck the dust flower, one actually needs to perform a special finger seal. Otherwise, one won't be able to touch the dust flower. After nearly 1 million years of research, this old man finally comprehended an incomplete set of finger seals from that ancient book. I wonder if I can use this set of finger seals to pluck the dust flower. This is the jade scroll of finger seals that this old man comprehended. Everyone, please take a look. This old man can't guarantee that all of you will be able to pluck the dust flower, but we can give it a try. Having said that, Kei Shensi took out a jade scroll of finger seals and passed it to everyone. Ning Fan's eyes flickered slightly when he glanced at the jade scroll. The finger seals recorded in this jade scroll were very similar to the finger seals that Red Yiksha had performed in the first illusion of Duzhen, but there were also many errors. No one knew if they would be able to pluck the dust flower with the erroneous finger seals. The other four already knew that the success rate of plucking the dust flower wasn't high, but they didn't care about it. They were already mentally prepared to fail in plucking the flower. To Kei Shensi and the others, this trip to pluck the dust flower might just be an experiment. However, they didn't know that Ning Fan knew the real plucking flower finger seal. However, Ning Fan didn't intend to share this seal with everyone for the time being. Because right after that, Kei Shensi did something that made Ning Fan secretly vigilant. Kei Shensi took out 5 dark red pills one after another and gave them to Ning Fan and the others, one for each of them. This pill is called the Barbarian Blood Pill. This old man refined it by collecting the blood essence of countless savage beasts. Even though it's only an 8th revolution pill, it's very important for our trip to the dust-stealing flower. According to what this old man knows, in the barrier that seals the Yellow River Snow Valley, there's a blood river formed by the corpses of savage beasts. Above the blood river, there's not a single goose feather floating on it. There's no way to fly across the blood river unless you're an ancient monster. You can only swim across it. That blood river has the ability to erode one's mind. Even if your abilities aren't weak, it's very likely that you'll lose your life in the blood river if you're not careful. At that time, if you take this pill, you can temporarily resist the power of the blood river and directly fly across the blood river. The other 4 carefully checked the pills and didn't find anything unusual. They kept the pills and thanked Kei Shensi for his kindness. Ning Fan also kept the pills without changing his expression and thanked Kei Shensi, but his heart was already filled with suspicion. Ning Fan didn't see anything wrong with the pills, but the moment he held the pills, the tribulation blood in his body reacted as if it was poison and rejected the pills. Is this barbarian blood pill harmful to me because of the tribulation blood in my body? Or is this pill harmful to everyone and has nothing to do with the tribulation blood? It's fine if it's only harmful to me. After all, Kei Shensi doesn't know that I have the tribulation blood in my body. He might not have any ulterior motives. But if it's harmful to everyone, it seems that Kei Shensi has an ulterior motive. Of course, it's also possible that even Kei Shensi himself doesn't know that this pill is harmful to the human body. Am I overthinking it? Kei Shensi was the old ancestor who founded Sinister Sparrow sect. The comprehension of rain that he left behind in the Dark Sparrow's grave had once helped Ning Fan a lot. Ning Fan always had a trace of gratitude towards Kei Shensi, and he more or less retained some trust in him. Otherwise, with Ning Fan's personality, he definitely wouldn't like to team up with others. After obtaining the news of the dust flower, he would most likely choose to steal it alone. He wouldn't even give a single strand of hair to others. Looking at Kei Shensi's sincere smile, Ning Fan sighed inwardly. I hope I'm overthinking it. Ning Fan and the others waited for another 5 days on the Barbarian Mountain. They waited for the right time for the dust tree to bloom. Then, they concealed themselves and sneaked into the periphery of the northern region. The periphery of the northern region had been uninhabited for thousands of years. Usually, there weren't many demons stationed there. Now that old ancestor Du Long had taken away most of the demon army in the northern region, this place was even more deserted. The barrier that sealed the Yellow River Snow Valley was located on a snowy plain. The black snowy plain was desolate and bleak. There wasn't a single demon cultivator in sight. When they arrived at this point, Ning Fan and the others carefully revealed themselves and divided into 3 groups. Each of them took out a compass and calculated the location of the barrier. After confirming the location of the barrier, the 6 of them simultaneously tore open the barrier and entered it silently. Inside the barrier, there was a maze built outside the Yellow River Snow Valley. As soon as the 6 of them entered the barrier, they immediately appeared in the maze and were teleported to different locations. Am I at the southwest corner of the maze? Ning Fan formed hand seals with his 10 fingers and activated his rain technique. Very soon, he found out the layout of the maze. There were a total of 12 exits. He decided to act according to the plan that they had discussed in advance. After walking out of the maze, they would think of a way to meet up outside the maze. According to the information given by Kei Shensi, this maze was only patrolled by a small number of Life Immortal Realm demon cultivators. If they encounter patrolling demon cultivators along the way, they must knock them out with lightning speed and try their best not to kill them. Moreover, they must try their best to suppress the magic power fluctuations so that the demon cultivators guarding outside the maze would not notice the changes in the maze. Every patrolling demon cultivator had a life plate. Once they kill a demon cultivator and the life plate breaks, it would immediately attract the attention of the demon cultivators guarding outside the maze. Ning Fan identified one of the exits that was closest to him. He concealed his chi and began to move stealthily in the maze. All the Life Immortal Realm demon cultivators that he encountered along the way were knocked out by Ning Fan's Fu Li illusion technique. No one could stop him. However, just as Ning Fan was about to reach the exit, a giggle suddenly rang in his ears. Even though it was obviously charming, it gave him a bone-chilling feeling. Who can tell me why there are human cultivators sneaking into the Yellow River maze during the season when the dust flowers are about to bloom? Could it be that you are here for the dust-stealing flower? If that's the case, I can't let you continue moving forward. The moment that voice reached Ning Fan's ears, a blazing flame light was already heading straight for his back. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He subconsciously turned his body to the side and dodged that attack. Then, he pointed a finger at the back and a dark golden sword light slashed at his back. It was none other than the memory-severing Dao sword. Hee. It's actually a Dao weapon that was refined using the purple chi of the heavenly Dao. Interesting, the woman who was chasing after Ning Fan paused her steps and dodged the attack of the memory-severing Dao sword. Her beautiful eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. She was a woman in purple robes with phoenix wings. Her appearance was charming and she had an early void-shedding realm cultivation base. She was actually a demon cultivator of the true Phoenix clan. At the same time that the woman was chasing after Ning Fan, there were also sounds of battles in the other 5 directions of the maze. Obviously, the others were also entangled by demon cultivators. Outside the maze, the demon cultivators who were guarding the place sensed the fluctuations of battle and began to fly toward the maze. What a coincidence. This princess and my 6 elder sisters are extremely bored. Just as we were having fun in the Yellow River maze, we coincidentally encountered the invasion of you human cultivators. If I can kill all of you, it will be a meritorious service. Hee. This princess loves meritorious service the most. However, I can't let all of you go. So, I'll just kill all of you. The phoenix demon in purple robes played with the long Dao weapon in her hand which was glowing with flames. She sneered and tapped the ground with the tip of her foot. Once again, she brandished the long sword and sent out countless purple flames towards Ning Fan. She did not put Ning Fan in her eyes at all. After all, the chi that Ning Fan released when he displayed his divine ability was only at the intermediate crossing true realm. It was not worth mentioning. Ning Fan's eyes turned gloomy. In Kei Shensi's plan, there was also a situation where he would be discovered as soon as he entered the barrier. In that case, he only needed to kill his way into the snow valley of the Yellow River and reach the location of the dust tree as soon as possible. The faster the better. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with dark purple devil light. Immediately, a large amount of dark purple divine light appeared behind him. Without saying a word, it swept towards the Phoenix demon. The Phoenix demon did not have time to react. As soon as she was swept by the divine light, her delicate body immediately turned soft and fell to the ground weakly. The long Dao weapon also fell to the ground with a clang. It shattered into specks of light and flew back into the demon's body. Charm. Charm technique. What a despicable human. How dare you use charm technique on this princess? If this princess's father knows about this, the phoenix demon's beautiful eyes were filled with anger. She was shocked because Ning Fan could subdue her in a single strike even though he was only at the intermediate crossing true realm. She was angry because her pure body was actually affected by Ning Fan's charm technique. She struggled to stand up but found that she could not do it at all. All of her magical power was sealed by the divine light. Her delicate body felt numb and weak. Moreover, there was a burning sensation in her heart. It made her who had always been calm and serene began to feel confused. Of course, she did not know that the divine light was the chaotic purple light that Ning Fan cultivated. It was the third type of divine ability that he comprehended from the yin-yang transformation to restrain female cultivators. If he used normal means to deal with this phoenix demon, he would need to spend some effort. Therefore, Ning Fan used charm technique in order to subdue her in the shortest time possible. You want to kill me to gain merit? Of course, I won't show you any mercy. From today onwards, you will be my human cauldron. Ning Fan said coldly. How dare you? Do you know who I am? If you really dare to treat me as your human cauldron and plunder me, I guarantee that you will regret it. The phoenix demon in purple robes reprimanded him in a threatening manner. Is that so? Ning Fan approached the phoenix demon in purple robes and activated the yin plucking finger. He tapped her several times with his finger, knocking her unconscious. After binding her with the yin imprisoning rope, he locked her in the repentance palace of the profound yin world. The current situation was urgent. He did not have the mood to care about this woman. He decided to capture her first. His spirit sense turned into rain and covered the entire maze. Ning Fan leaped into the air. He did not fly towards the exit. Instead, he flew towards the other direction of the maze. The others were also trapped by the void-shedding demoness. Without Ning Fan's help, some of them might have died in the maze. At this moment, at the northwestern corner of the maze, Old Monster Earth was being forced to retreat by a phoenix demon in blue robes. That phoenix demon in blue robes had a cultivation base at the mid-void shedding realm. Even though Old Monster Earth had the defensive ability of penetrating mountains and scales, he could not withstand the frenzied attacks of the phoenix demon. Damn it! Isn't there only the true dragon clan guarding the Yellow River Snow Valley? Why is there a member of the true Phoenix clan here? According to the information provided by Old Man K, there are only 3 early void-shedding realm dragon demons guarding the entire Snow Valley. Why would I encounter a mid-void shedding realm Phoenix demon? This is bad. I'm going to die. Just as Old Monster Earth was in despair, a ray of purplish-black divine light swept past him. The phoenix demon in blue robes who was chasing after Old Monster Earth did not notice the divine light's sneak attack. By the time she noticed it, it was already too late. Ah! As soon as the divine light swept past her, the phoenix demon in blue robes immediately fell to the ground. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock and anger. Who is it? How could you be so despicable as to use a bewitching technique on me? What answered her question was a young man in white robes using his yin plucking finger. Ning Fan quickly captured the second phoenix demon's human cauldron and brought her into the profound yin world. The bewitching technique that he had not used for many years finally showed its prowess today. Chapter 880. With a flick of Ning Fan's finger, the mid-Shi Kong phoenix was captured alive by Ning Fan's bewitching technique. Old Monster 2 stared at the scene with his mouth agape. His heart was filled with shock. The gap between each realm of the Xing Kong realm was huge and it was extremely difficult to skip realms. The gap between Du Zhen and Xing Kong was like heaven and earth. Very few early Xing Kong cultivators could fight against a mid-Shi Kong cultivator. This was also the reason why Old Monster 2 was defeated by the blue-robed phoenix. It was even more impossible for a mid-Shi Kong cultivator to capture a mid-Shi Kong cultivator alive, but Ning Fan managed to do such an unimaginable thing. I'm not dreaming, am I? Old Monster 2 gulped. He could tell that the reason why Ning Fan was able to capture the blue-robed phoenix in a single move was because of a sneak attack and a despicable and shameless bewitching technique. However, even with his millions of years of experience, he had never seen any bewitching technique in this world that was so powerful that it could allow a cultivator like Du Zhen to ignore his cultivation realm and capture Shi Kong. If I obtain this bewitching technique, I'm afraid that I can even capture a peak Xing Kong female cultivator with my current cultivation realm. My Tao isn't plucking and replenishing, but I can plant a restriction on all the female cultivators that I capture and make them into my combat division. If I recruit dozens of female cultivators and train them in a joint attack formation, I'll be able to put up a fight even if I encounter an early thought fragmentation Old Monster. A hint of greed flashed across Old Monster 2's eyes. He was extremely tempted by Ning Fan's bewitching technique. But at the next moment, his expression changed and his body trembled violently. He suppressed his greed and looked at Ning Fan in disbelief. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly swept over him. He did not conceal his baleful chi and devil might at all. He displayed all the killings he had committed in his life in front of Old Monster 2. The coldness in his eyes immediately made Old Monster 2's heart beat wildly. He was unable to suppress the fear in his heart. From the baleful chi, Old Monster 2 could tell that Ning Fan had killed Profound Human, Profound Ghost, Du Zhen and more than one Xing Kong cultivator. He even killed thought fragmentation. In the cultivation world, there were people who could fake baleful chi and devil might to frighten others. However, the fake murderous chi and demonic might were fake after all. It could only fool cultivators who had just stepped into the third stage of true immortality. It could not fool Old Monster Shi Kong. This man's evil chi and devil might aren't fake. Old Monster 2's breathing became erratic and his whole body was trembling. This person really killed the thought fragments, he killed several Shi Kong, he is not in the middle stage of Du Zhen, absolutely not. He hid his cultivation, so he's at least a thought shatterer Old Monster. Otherwise, how could he have killed thought shatterer? No wonder this person could capture a mid-stage shedding void cultivator in one move. How is he relying on any bewitching technique? It's clearly a pure suppression of his realm. Like I said, how could there be any bewitching technique in the world that is so powerful that Du Zhen could capture Shi Kong? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I actually coveted a thought-shattering Old Monster for a non-existent bewitching art. I was really courting death. This person's fiendish aura and devilish might are clearly a warning to me. Old Monster 2 was filled with regret and fear. Ning Fan came to rescue him out of kindness and captured the blue-robed Phoenix Maiden. Why was he so bored? Why did he repay kindness with enmity? Why did he covet Ning Fan? He was simply courting death. Was thought-shattering Old Monster someone that he could afford to offend? Now, he reckoned that he had already angered Ning Fan, that thought-shattering Old Monster. Say. Senior. Old Monster 2 was trembling. He wanted to say something to Ning Fan to appease Ning Fan's anger, but unfortunately, he was interrupted coldly by Ning Fan before he could speak. You are a friend of Senior K. Shensi. For his sake, I won't argue with you this time, but there won't be a next time. Having said that, Ning Fan withdrew his fiendish aura and devilish might. With cold eyes, he turned and left the place to help the others. Of course, he didn't know that the baleful might that he deliberately exposed had made Old Monster 2 misunderstand him as a thought-shattering Old Monster. The reason why he released the baleful might was because he sensed a trace of greed in Old Monster 2's eyes and wanted to warn him. He saved Old Monster 2, but Old Monster 2 became greedy. Ning Fan hated this kind of act of biting the hand that fed him the most. If it wasn't for Kei Shenxi's sake, Ning Fan would definitely teach Old Monster 2 a painful lesson based on his murderous nature. Sure enough, I'm only suitable for killing people, not saving people. Fine, I'll just take it as capturing the cauldron of the Phoenix clan. Ning Fan sighed in his heart. Old Monster 2 heaved a sigh of relief after Ning Fan left, but he still had some lingering fear. He couldn't help but recall what happened half a year ago. That day, he deliberately made things difficult for Ning Fan and even asked Ning Fan to attack him with his full strength. Now that he thought about it, Ning Fan probably didn't use his full strength that day. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to survive until today. He wouldn't be able to withstand a full-strength attack from thought-shattering Old Monster. Fortunately, I have some friendship with Kei Shenxi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let me go so easily. I didn't expect that there would be such an ominous star hidden in the team that stole the Chen flower. It's really scary, AI. If it wasn't for the Chen flower, this old man really wanted to turn around and leave this place. I don't want to have anything to do with this ominous star anymore. Unfortunately, the key to the realm of abandoning emptiness is to comprehend how to abandon and empty. This old man has been stuck in the early abandoning emptiness realm for 700,000 years, and I still have no hope of breaking through the bottleneck of the intermediate abandoning emptiness realm. What I lack is the ability to comprehend. Before obtaining the Chen flower, this old man can't leave even if I'm afraid of that ominous star. Old Monster 2 sighed. He shrunk his dwarf-like body into the ground and chased after Ning Fan. Yellow River Maze, North Palace. At this moment, Old Ancestor Iron Cloud had transformed into a 30 meters tall Iron Man. He was holding an iron axe and was fighting with a green-robed Phoenix demon girl. The iron axe he was holding was an immemorial divine weapon that was fused with some 8 stars divine iron, making it extremely hard. However, under the attack of the green-robed woman's fiery light, countless cracks had appeared on the iron axe. She was an early abandoning emptiness realm female demon of the Phoenix clan. She seemed to have just broken through to the abandoning emptiness realm not long ago, but her strength was enough to suppress Old Ancestor Iron Cloud. Both of them were early abandoning emptiness realm cultivators. Even though Old Ancestor Iron Cloud was no match for the green-robed Phoenix demon, he wasn't in danger of losing his life yet. However, his strength was already exhausted, and it was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Did Old K's information go wrong? There's actually a abandoning emptiness realm female demon of the Phoenix clan in this Yellow River Maze. This is really scary. This woman had just broken through to the abandoning emptiness realm not long ago, but her strength is already far above mine. The green flame longsword in her hand has clearly been fused with the bloodline power of the true Phoenix clan. That's why it's so powerful. Royal bloodline true Phoenix, huh? What a terrifying bloodline power. Old Ancestor Iron Cloud was waving his giant axe and fighting with the green-robed Phoenix girl. Suddenly, his expression changed and he jumped out of the battle. It was Ning Fan who suddenly appeared between the two of them and joined the battle. As soon as he appeared, he immediately activated his yin-yang demon pupils and released thousands of strands of purplish-black divine light. The divine light was extremely dazzling. It was so bright that Old Ancestor Iron Cloud could not open his eyes. The divine light only appeared for a moment before it was retracted by Ning Fan. After he retracted the divine light, the green-robed Phoenix demon was nowhere to be seen, as if she had been absorbed by the divine light. Ning Fan did not even look at Old Ancestor Iron Cloud. His figure flashed and he left, leaving Old Ancestor Iron Cloud alone with a shocked expression. Hiss! What kind of ability is that? It actually absorbed an early abandoning emptiness realm cultivator. What terrifying power! With the previous lesson, Ning Fan had restrained the power of his chaotic world purple light to a certain extent this time. He did not reveal any trace of it, preventing Old Ancestor Iron Cloud from noticing that it was a bewitching technique. Since Ning Fan had only taken away a female demon who had just stepped into the void shedding space and had the advantage of a sneak attack, even though the old ancestor of Iron Cloud was shocked by the power of Ning Fan's ability, he was not as greedy as Old Monster Tuesday. After dispersing the Iron Man image, old ancestor Iron Cloud kept his iron axe and sighed. It's all thanks to little friend Ning's sneak attack from the side. Otherwise, it's almost impossible for me to defeat that Phoenix demon with my strength alone. Speaking of which, little friend Ning's ability is really powerful. Unfortunately, his cultivation realm is still a little low. If he were to face that green-robed Phoenix demon head-on, he would still be defeated within half of 10 moves. That green-robed Phoenix demon is after all a abandoning emptiness realm old monster. He would only be defeated by Du Zhen if he was careless. In other words, Ning Fan defeated the green-robed Phoenix demon because of his sneak attack and not his true strength. It was impossible for him to defeat the green-robed Phoenix demon in a head-on confrontation. This sentence was considered as old ancestor Iron Cloud's self-consolation. After all, the green-robed Phoenix demon that he could not defeat was captured by Ning Fan, a junior. More or less, he felt a little unbalanced. It was naturally impossible for him to admit that his abandoning emptiness realm was inferior to Du Zhen. However, as soon as old ancestor Iron Cloud's voice faded, a mocking laughter came from below the ground. Humph! Is it old monster too? What are you laughing at? You're making me feel annoyed. Old ancestor Iron Cloud harumphed. Why do you care what I'm laughing at? I'll laugh whenever I want to. I especially laugh at the ridiculous people in this world. Old Monster 2 let out a strange laugh and continued to use his Earth escape technique to chase after Ning Fan. Old ancestor Iron Cloud's face darkened, but he was too lazy to argue with Old Monster Tuesday. He let out a deep snort and flew towards the same direction. Of course, he didn't know that Old Monster 2 was laughing because he had underestimated Ning Fan's strength. Could it be that Guan Tai Yun's eyes are on the ground? How could he not see Old Monster Ning's strength? He even said that Old Monster Ning would be defeated by the green-robed Phoenix demon within 10 moves. Ha ha ha. Will Old Monster Nian Nian lose to a Phoenix demon who hasn't stabilized his abandoning emptiness realm? Only you, Guan Tai Yun, are so weak that you can't defeat a Phoenix demon who hasn't stabilized his abandoning emptiness realm yet. If it's the intermediate shedding emptiness realm blue-robed Phoenix that I met, you won't be able to last until Old Monster Ning comes to save you. The Yellow River Labyrinth was a dilapidated labyrinth in the northeast. The four-eyed demon monarch was controlling 45 corpse puppets with true realm cultivation realm, forming a formation to deal with a green-robed Phoenix demon woman. The green-robed Phoenix demon was an early shedding emptiness realm demon cultivator. She was extremely strong and wasn't someone that the four-eyed demon monarch could fight against. Given the four-eyed demon monarch's strength, controlling 45 corpse puppets was enough to defeat most of the early shedding emptiness realm demon cultivators. However, the four-eyed demon monarch had no chance of winning against the green-robed Phoenix demon. As expected of a true Phoenix with royal blood. It seems like it's impossible to defeat this woman without using one of the 3 great forbidden corpses. It's a pity that my cultivation base isn't strong enough. If I rashly use the forbidden corpses, I'll definitely suffer a heavy backlash. The four-eyed demon monarch's eyes narrowed and made a decision. Suddenly, he squatted down and slammed his palms heavily on the ground with corpse chi. A black ancient formation that emitted corpse chi immediately appeared on the ground of the labyrinth. A pitch-black ancient coffin slowly rose from the ancient formation. A powerful aura that was comparable to an early shedding emptiness realm demon immediately spread out from the ancient coffin. The aura of a corpse devil? No, it's not a corpse devil. It's just an ordinary corpse puppet. However, this corpse puppet is an early shedding emptiness realm demon monarch. I can no longer underestimate it. The green-robed Phoenix demon's expression began to turn solemn. She shook her green fire sword and was about to display some kind of divine ability. Suddenly, she felt a great sense of danger from her back. Without saying a word, she turned around and slashed at her back with her sword. However, she missed her target and only managed to slash a scattered black shadow. The black shadow condensed again and revealed Ning Fan, who was in white robes. He activated his demon eyes and a ray of purplish-black light immediately swept towards the green-robed phoenix demon. The green-robed phoenix demon's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She felt an endless sense of danger from those rays of light. She shook her long sword and tried to slash the rays of light that filled the sky. However, she realized that she couldn't do it at all. At the next moment, she let out a groan and fainted in the divine light, losing her consciousness. When the divine light dispersed, the green-robed phoenix demon's figure could no longer be seen. What a powerful divine ability! The four-eyed man sucked in a cold breath. Even though his cultivation base was not as strong as Old Monster 2 and Old Ancestor Iron Cloud, his strength was far stronger than the two of them. His eyesight was also very sharp. He could tell that Ning Fan had concealed his true strength very deeply with just a glance. Ning Fan captured the green-robed phoenix demon. His eyes swept across the four-eyed man and the 45 true crossing realm corpse puppets. Finally, his gaze fell on the ancient formation on the ground. At the center of the formation light, a black coffin had already risen halfway. However, because of Ning Fan's appearance, the coffin was kept back into the formation by the four-eyed man. Isn't it a corpse devil, a special corpse puppet that was made by imitating the physique of a corpse devil? There are a total of 3 shedding void corpse puppets hidden in that black formation. All of them are early shedding void corpse puppets. Ning Fan did not say a word. His mind was spinning rapidly. With his eyesight, he could tell that there was something fishy about this black formation with just a glance. Thank you for your help, fellow Taoist. The four-eyed devil monarch cupped his fists at Ning Fan. However, there was no gratitude in his eyes. His expression was as cold as ice. However, Ning Fan was able to sense a trace of kindness from the four-eyed man's qi with the help of the unity of heaven and man divine ability. It was enough to tell that the four-eyed devil monarch actually had a trace of gratitude towards him. As expected, even though the four-eyed devil monarch's attitude was cold, he immediately took out a black jade box and flicked his finger towards Ning Fan. Even though he was a man of few words, it was not difficult for Ning Fan to tell that this jade box was a gift of gratitude from the four-eyed devil monarch. Ning Fan received the jade box and did not open it. He only spread out his spirit sense and scanned the contents of the box. His expression changed slightly. The gift of gratitude in the jade box was a black heart with monstrous devil chi. It was still beating. It was not an ordinary heart. It was the heart of an early shedding void realm corpse devil. The heart of a corpse devil would not beat and it could not beat. However, if there was a corpse devil's heart that could beat, its heart must be a supreme treasure. If Ning Fan has an ancient corpse that could withstand the power of this heart, as long as he places the heart inside, the corpse would immediately turn into an early shedding void realm corpse puppet. It would possess a small amount of spiritual intelligence. After some sacrificial refinement, it would obey Ning Fan's orders obediently and would never betray him for the rest of its life. This item was not a meager gift. Ning Fan had some speculations. Perhaps the corpse puppets of the four-eyed devil monarch were refined from the beating heart of the corpse devil. The reason why this heart was not used to refine the corpse puppets was probably because the four-eyed devil monarch had not found a corpse that was strong enough. Ning Fan was very curious about where did the four-eyed devil monarch get so many beating heart of the corpse devil. Forget it. This is the secret of the four-eyed devil monarch. It's not convenient for me to ask. Everyone has their own past and their own secrets. Ning Fan kept the jade box and gave the four-eyed devil monarch a friendly smile. Then, he turned and left. Ning Fan's principle of doing things was to return 10 times the kindness of others. Since the four-eyed devil monarch had shown him kindness, he would naturally not return it with hatred. He is very similar to me. The four-eyed devil monarch muttered to himself in a hoarse voice. He kept all the corpse puppets and chased after Ning Fan. As soon as he left, Old Monster 2 and the old ancestor of Iron Cloud arrived. The eyes of the old ancestor of Iron Cloud almost popped out of their sockets. He couldn't believe that the four-eyed devil monarch who was merely at the peak of the Crossing Truth Realm actually had 45 corpse puppets of the Crossing Truth Realm and was suspected to have another Shedding Void corpse puppet. This four-eyed devil monarch is truly amazing. With so many corpse puppets, even if I go all out, I might not be able to defeat him easily. The old ancestor of Iron Cloud sighed. Although he was sighing, his words were full of boasting, as if he was telling Old Monster 2 that the four-eyed devil monarch was no match for him. Iron Cloud. Bastard! Ha ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. That four-eyed devil monarch has hidden his strength very deeply. Even if you go all out, you won't be able to defeat him. You have overestimated your own strength too much. And the one you can't defeat is old Devil Ning. As for the reason, you don't have to ask me. I'm too lazy to tell you the truth, and I don't dare to say it. Old Monster 2 let out a strange laugh and left. The old ancestor of Iron Cloud snorted coldly. He didn't take Old Monster 2's words to heart and also left. In the central palace of the Yellow River Maze, Fairy Han Wu, who was dressed in blue, was waving streaks of moonlight and standing together with a yellow-robed female demon. The yellow-robed female demon was a phoenix demon. Her cultivation base was already at the middle stage of Shedding Void. She was a royal bloodline true phoenix. The power of the true phoenix bloodline was used to the extreme by the yellow-robed phoenix woman. It was condensed on the Dao weapon long sword and attached layers of golden demonic fire. Its lethality was rather terrifying. However, even if she went all out, the yellow-robed female demon only had a slight upper hand. She couldn't obtain an overwhelming advantage. What a powerful human female cultivator. She can actually fight against my phoenix sword demonic fire. I see. You are a cultivator of the Northern Heaven vast cold palace. The yellow-robed female demon sent Fairy Han Wu flying with her sword again. Her beautiful eyes became more solemn and her killing intent became stronger. The vast cold palace was a top force of the four heavens. If she could kill a Shedding Void cultivator of the vast cold palace, it would be a great contribution. Your life, this princess wants it. Heavenly demon technique, Phoenix devouring. The yellow-robed female demon activated her demonic force to the extreme. She formed a seal with one hand. Immediately, a void fire golden phoenix appeared in the maze. It opened its mouth and swallowed Fairy Han Wu. Not good. This is the true Phoenix clan's bloodline illusion technique. After Fairy Han Wu was swallowed into the golden phoenix's stomach, her body immediately melted in the golden phoenix's gastric juice. She kept waving her moonlight, trying to break the golden phoenix's body and break free. However, she discovered that the golden phoenix was almost immune to all of her divine abilities. It is indeed a very troublesome illusion technique. However, I'm not good at illusion techniques. So I can only borrow the power of the ancient immortal concubine. Fairy Han Wu's beautiful eyes darkened. Her killing intent gushed out. Immediately, a moonlight rune appeared between her eyebrows. That was originally her life-saving trump card. However, she had no choice but to use it now. Hee, this stupid little girl still decided to borrow my power in the end. Very good. My moon burial finally has a chance to see the light of day again. In the depths of Fairy Han Wu's sea of consciousness, a naked woman was hiding. Her body was shrouded in moonlight. She was waiting for her rebirth. She was waiting for a grand possession. Once Fairy Han Wu borrows her power, she would be able to possess Han Wu's body and return to the world. Just a little more. Immortal concubine Zhang Yu's phoenix-like eyes were filled with excitement. At the next moment, that excitement completely turned into rage. Her grand plan of rebirth had been destroyed by someone. Who is it? Who is the one who stopped my grand plan of possession? Immortal concubine Zhang Yu's killing intent spread out. Just as Han Wu was about to completely break the immortal concubine seal, a destructive force immediately spread out from the Golden Phoenix's body. The Golden Phoenix was killed with a single strike and shattered into countless illusory lights. It's you. You're the one who broke the illusion technique and saved me. Fairy Han Wu stared at the newcomer in disbelief. Humph. It's a human again. All humans who trespass the Yellow River Maze deserve to die. The yellow-robed demoness pointed her soft finger at the sky and pressed it down on Ning Fan from afar. This press carried an indescribable profundity. Circles of flowing water immediately appeared where Ning Fan stood, drowning his feet and binding them. Is it an illusion technique again? Illusion techniques are useless against me. The Fuli demon star in Ning Fan's left eye suddenly appeared and began to spin rapidly. The illusory flowing water that bound his feet immediately collapsed and dissipated. At the next moment, divine light that blotted out the sky spread out and directly swept towards the yellow-robed demoness' head. She immediately revealed a look of shame and anger. She would never have thought that the well-dressed Ning Fan would be despicable and shameless enough to use an enchantment technique on her. Human cultivators are really despicable and shameless people. I'm not afraid of your enchantment technique. Luoxia Pearl, sweep away the clouds here for me. The yellow-robed demoness opened her red lips and spat out a golden pearl that was stained with saliva. It was a treasure that was refined from her natal dragon pearl. It was specialized in suppressing the divine ability of the clouds. After being suppressed by the Luoxia Pearl, the purple clouds that filled the sky could not fall. A treasure that can suppress clouds, huh? I can't underestimate it. Ning Fan's eyes turned serious. He suddenly put his palms together and uttered coldly, sunset technique, net. All of a sudden, the purple clouds that filled the sky immediately dispersed into countless light ropes. They weaved into a net and fell from the sky. Even the Luoxia Pearl could no longer block the attack of the net. The yellow-robed demoness could not believe that the Luoxia Pearl that had always been suppressing the clouds would lose its effect. Before she could react, she was already trapped by the net. Of course, as the net was too big, Fairy Han Wu was also caught in it. The two mid-shedding Void Realm women's bodies went limp and fell to the ground. Their beautiful eyes were filled with anger and shame. Despicable. Despicable. How dare you use an enchantment technique on me? The yellow-robed demoness fell to the ground and cursed in grief and indignation. However, because of the enchantment technique, her whole body went limp and soft as if there were countless electric currents flowing through her body. Her voice was intermittent and her tone had also become unusually soft. She was obviously angry, but when she spoke, she sounded like she was flirting with her lover. Despicable. Shameless. Quickly let go of me. Otherwise, I won't forgive you. Fairy Han Wu, who was attacked indiscriminately, felt her whole body go limp and her face was flushed. She panted in a low voice, feeling both comfortable and painful at the same time. Inwardly, she was filled with shock. She was a dignified mid-shedding Void Realm cultivator, but she was completely restrained by Ning Fan's enchantment technique, who was at the mid-Dujin realm. This enchantment technique was too powerful. It was so powerful that she could not resist it at all. I've lost control of the sunset technique. Ning Fan frowned and muttered to himself. The sunset net was one of the methods of using the chaotic times purple clouds. The chaotic times purple clouds was not just a single ability. The purple clouds that were cultivated could all be turned into a sunset technique to deal with female cultivators. It was extremely powerful and ever-changing. Unfortunately, it was Ning Fan's first time turning the purple clouds into a net. He was still lacking in mastery and this technique was slightly out of control. Fairy Han Wu was also caught in the net. It was a slip, it really was a slip. Chapter 881. Ning Fan held the ray of light in his hand. With a tug and pull, he directly sent the yellow-robed phoenix demon into the profound Een world. That ray of light was much more powerful than the Een plucking finger and the Een imprisoning rope. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, it was not difficult for him to capture early and mid-void shedding realm female cultivators by using the ray of light. As for the captured female cultivators, they would definitely not be able to break free from the ray of light with their own strength. Ning Fan gave Fairy Cold Dance an apologetic look. Then, he changed his hand seals and undid the ray of light that bound her body. Only when the ray of light disappeared did Fairy Cold Dance regain some of her strength. She stood up from the ground and the redness on her face faded away bit by bit. However, she was still panting slightly and rolled her eyes at Ning Fan. Even though Fairy Cold Dance knew that it was Ning Fan who saved her at the critical moment, she still felt a little conflicted after being affected by the bewitching technique. However, she was not someone who did not know what was good for her. Naturally, she would not do something ungrateful. "Little friend, thank you for saving me. This bottle of pills is a token of my gratitude. Please accept it. I hope that you will be more mindful when you attack next time." The feeling of being affected by the bewitching technique isn't pleasant. When she thought of how she was affected by the bewitching technique just now, Fairy Cold Dance could not help but blush a little. Ever since she stepped on the path of cultivation, she had not shown such an expression for millions of years. "I shouldn't fail again next time." Ning Fan smiled bitterly apologetically and received the pill bottle. His eyes flashed after scanning it with his spirit sense. There was only one pill in the pill bottle, but it had a great background. It was a type of healing divine medicine of the vast cold palace in the northern heaven, 9-flower moon shaping pill. Even though it was just a 9-revolution silver grade pill, its medicinal effect was comparable to many 9-revolution golden pills. Therefore, its price was slightly higher than ordinary 9-revolution golden pills. Even though Ning Fan did not lack healing pills, he still accepted the pill as a token of gratitude from Fairy Cold Dance. Along the way, Ning Fan had already captured 5 void-shedding realm female demons alone. Old Monster 2, Iron Cloud Old Ancestor, Four-Eyed Devil Monarch and Fairy Cold Dance had all gotten rid of the void-shedding realm female demons because of Ning Fan. Only Kei Shensi was not saved by Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not have the intention to help Kei Shensi. According to his senses, Kei Shensi and his men had already ended their battle and were heading towards this place. Sure enough, a few breaths later, Kei Shensi's laughter was heard. "Huh, it's actually the 9-flower moon sculpting pill. TSK, this pill is not ordinary. Little friend Ning should cherish this pill. Nowadays, there are very few emperor pills in the world. The moon sculpting 9-flower pill of the Moon Palace has a medicinal effect that is comparable to the golden 9-revolution pill. It can almost be considered as a rare healing medicine in the world." A red light flashed and landed on the ground, revealing the figure of Kei Shensi. He held a scroll Dao soldier in his hand. Sealed within the scroll were 2 enraged female phoenix demons. Everyone else was being attacked by a single phoenix demon while Kei Shensi was being attacked by 2 late-stage Shadow Void female demons of the Phoenix clan. One of them was wearing a red skirt while the other was wearing an orange shirt. Although the joint attack of the 2 female Phoenix clan demons was powerful, Kei Shensi was an old monster who was close to breaking through to the thought-fragmenting realm. Naturally, he was not afraid of the 2 Phoenix demons. The 2 female Phoenix demons had already been kept into the scroll Dao soldier by Kei Shensi. They were trapped inside the treasure and could not escape. What a powerful Dao soldier! Even a peak shed of void old monster would not be able to escape once he is trapped inside the scroll. Ning Fan's eyes swept across Kei Shensi's Dao soldier. His expression remained unchanged but his heart was filled with admiration. After Kei Shensi, the Four-Eyed Devil Monarch, Old Monster 2 and the Old Ancestor of Iron Cloud also arrived at this place. Kei Shenxi's expression became slightly relieved when he saw that no one was injured or killed. When he heard that Ning Fan had captured 5 Sheta Void female phoenix demons with his own strength, even Kei Shenxi revealed a surprised expression. As for Old Monster 2, he was the only one who showed a respectful expression towards Ning Fan. Only Old Monster 2 firmly believed that Ning Fan was a thought-fragmenting old monster. He no longer dared to offend Ning Fan. Speaking of which, it's all my fault for getting the wrong information. It's all my fault for causing you all to be in danger. I didn't expect that there would be demon cultivators of the true Phoenix clan appearing in this Yellow River Snow Valley. This was not part of my plan. The battle between us and the demon cultivators of the true Phoenix clan has caused a huge commotion. Most likely, the demon cultivators stationed outside the maze have already been alerted. At this moment, the outside of the maze must have been heavily surrounded by the demon race. Outside the barrier of the Snow Valley, there might be a large group of demon cultivators rushing here to provide reinforcements. We must speed up and leave this maze as soon as possible. Moreover, we must try our best to avoid the confrontation with the demon race and find the Chen tree as soon as possible. The longer we delay here, the more dangerous it will be. Fellow Taoist too, I would like to borrow your earth cave. As soon as he finished speaking, Kei Shenxi looked at Old Monster 2 with a serious expression. His expression showed that he was determined to use the earth cave. Old Monster 2's face showed a hint of heartache, but he also knew that it was not the time to feel sorry for the earth cave. He took out a jade slip and crushed it. Then, he immediately formed a hand seal with his 10 fingers. The ground beneath his feet began to wriggle. Then, it split into 2, revealing a hole in the ground with a distorted space. Looking at the jade slip that could not be more broken, Old Monster 2 sighed inwardly and was the first to jump into the hole. Kei Shenxi, on the other hand, whispered a few words to the others and jumped into the hole together. At the same time, outside the Yellow River Maze, 3 Shikong old monsters with dragon horns on their heads led nearly 1,000 dragon demons to surround the entire maze. The 3 Shikong old monsters looked gloomy as they stared at the maze in shock and anger. According to the vague perception of the 3 old monsters, there were a total of 6 human cultivators in the maze. The lowest cultivation base was Duzhen and the highest was a peak Shikong old monster. Damn it. Why did this group of human cultivators break into this place? Could it be that they are here for the Chen flower? Indeed. The Chen flower will bloom in another moment, but no one has ever succeeded in plucking the Chen flower. If these humans are here for the Chen flower, it's impossible that they don't know about it. Are they really here for the Chen flower? Humph. Regardless of the purpose of these humans breaking into the barrier, since they are here, we must not let them leave alive. Among the 6 human cultivators, there are 4 Shikong old monsters, 2 early Shikong old monsters, 1 mid Shikong old monsters and 1 peak Shikong old monsters. These people are not people we can deal with. Fortunately, the 7 little ancestors of the Endless Sky Phoenix clan are also in the maze. Besides, they have already come out to fight against those intruders. With their strength, it shouldn't be difficult for them to take down these human cultivators. We just need to guard the maze well and not let those human cultivators escape. Outside the maze, a large number of dragon demons surrounded the Yellow River Maze. However, they did not know that the 7 princesses of the Phoenix clan had all been captured. As for Ning Fan and the others, they had already left the maze with the help of a secret technique. From the north of the maze, there was a snowy mountain that stretched for millions of li. The entire snowy mountain was covered by layers of formation light. It was difficult for outsiders to enter the snowy mountain and also difficult to sense the situation inside. In the depths of the snowy mountain, a Tenjiang crack suddenly appeared on the ground. 6 rays of traveling light flew out from it. They were none other than Ning Fan and the others. With the help of Old Monster 2's secret technique, the 6 of them directly sneaked into the inner area of the snowy mountain from the Yellow River Maze, avoiding the battle with the demon cultivators. The snowy mountain in the north was cut off by a long blood-red river, making it impossible for them to continue northward. Countless corpses of savage beasts and barbarians were floating in the blood river. Blood chi filled the air and the stench of blood filled the air, forming an airtight forbidden force. Only the ancient monsters could ignore the forbidden force and directly fly across the blood river. People like Kei Shensi and the others could only fly across the blood river by using some special techniques. On both sides of the blood river, there was an ancient barbarian statue every half-li. It was not a beast statue but a human statue. Those barbarian statues were carvings of the same person. However, none of them had a face carved on them. Thus, no one could tell what the original appearance of the barbarian statue was. Unknowingly, when Ning Fan saw those barbarian statues, he felt a sense of familiarity from them. The backs of these barbarian statues were very similar to Kei Shensi. Their backs slowly overlapped with each other. Is all of this just a coincidence? Mist spread above the blood river. Ning Fan could hear the faint chanting of a barbarian scripture. The scripture that they were chanting wasn't the barbarian ancestral scripture that barbarians loved the most. It was a barbarian scripture that Ning Fan had never heard of before. Vaguely, the scripture seemed to be called Young Barbarian Scripture. This scripture had never been circulated in the desolate land. 6 generations of barbarian destruction, the day of tribulation incinerates the barbarian bloodline. 7 generations of barbarian destruction, the heavens abandons the barbarian, the heavenly Tao of barbarian collapses. Sacrifice the blood of the barbarian firmament 10,000 spirits, the cultivation path of 3 lifetimes, the blood sacrifice of barbarian Ho, the 8th young barbarian Su. Blood sacrifice of barbarian Ho, the 8th young barbarian Su. At the bank of the blood river, Ning Fan's eyes slightly narrowed. His gaze swept across Old Monster 2 and the others, but he didn't see any fluctuation of emotion in their eyes. It seemed like the 4 of them didn't hear any chanting from the blood river. Only Kei Shensi's expression changed slightly, as if he had heard the chanting. His cloudy eyes revealed a trace of sadness. That sadness disappeared in a flash. A moment later, Kei Shensi's face was expressionless. Ning Fan almost thought that the previous scene was just an illusion. Old Monster 2 and the others didn't hear the chanting, but Kei Shensi and I did. Why is that? Ning Fan frowned slightly when he thought of the figures of the barbarian statues. He didn't know why, but he felt a sense of uneasiness. It was a premonition of unknown danger. Could there really be something wrong with Kei Shensi's body? Kei Shensi took out a compass and calculated for a while. Then, he said to everyone with a solemn expression. The dust flower will bloom in less than 15 minutes. Let's not waste any more time. Everyone, quickly take out the barbaric blood pill that I gave you and fly across this blood river. As soon as he finished speaking, Kei Shensi was the first to take out the barbaric blood pill and swallow it. Immediately, black runes appeared on the left side of his face and his body emitted a faint red light. At the moment when the red light rose, the restrictive force above the blood river seemed to have lost its effect. Kei Shensi leaped into the air, ignoring the restrictive force of the blood river and flew towards the opposite bank. Let's take the barbaric blood pill as well. The sooner we fly across this river, the sooner we can see the dust tree. Old Monster 2 and Old Ancestor Iron Cloud tried to resist the restrictive force. Thus, they had no choice but to take the barbaric blood pill given by Kei Shensi and fly across the blood river with the help of the pill. The 4-eyed devil monarch and fairy Han Wu also took the barbaric blood pill and flew across the blood river. Only Ning Fan was hesitant. After a moment of silence, he took out a red pill that was similar to the barbaric blood pill and swallowed it. Then, he activated the power of the calamity blood, causing runes to appear on the left side of his face. With a leap, he flew across the blood river. The pill he took was not the barbaric blood pill, but no one knew about it. Since he cultivated the calamity blood in his body, the restrictive force of the blood river had no effect on him. Thus, there was no need for him to take the pill. He pretended to take the pill, but in fact, he was suspicious of Kei Shensi. Seeing that everyone had taken the barbaric blood pill, the corner of Kei Shensi's mouth curved into a smile on the other side of the blood river. After crossing the blood river, the yellow river Snow Valley appeared in front of them. The scenery of this snow valley was almost the same as the snow valley he saw in the first illusion of Duzhen. The only difference was that this snow valley did not have the will pressure of the Lord of Calamity thought. Instead, there were two snow statues standing outside the snow valley. The two snow statues did not show any signs of life. There was a formation in their mouths that constantly blew out wind and snow, causing the entire snow valley to be extremely cold. Even a peak void-shedding realm cultivator would not be able to enter the snow valley easily. Fairy Han Wu, the cold chi here is too strong. I need to borrow your Dao weapon. Kei Shensi said with a solemn expression. Sure. Fairy Han Wu waved her palm and a moonlight mirror that emitted cold chi immediately appeared in her hand. The name of this mirror was the Guang Cold Mirror. It was one of the few Dao weapons that the cultivators of the Guang Cold Palace often cultivated. It was extremely effective in restraining cold chi. Kei Shensi took the Guang Cold Mirror and struck a few hand seals at it. Then, he lifted the mirror and waved it at the snow valley. The accumulated snow that had accumulated in the snow valley for 10,000 years immediately began to melt. The cold wind that was blowing in the snow valley also disappeared in an instant. We can enter the valley now. Speaking of which, this old man has not returned to this place for millions of years. Kei Shensi's eyes were filled with disappointment as he walked into the snow valley. Old Monster 2 and the others did not doubt Kei Shensi's words. After all, Kei Shensi knew the information about the dust tree like the back of his hand. It was not surprising that he had been to this place before. Ning Fan's eyes, however, turned solemn. He could hear a different meaning from Kei Shensi's words. Kei Shensi had said the word return. He had not returned to this place for millions of years. The others were coming to the snow valley, but he was returning. Ning Fan closed his eyes and sighed, following the others into the snow valley. The ice lake in the snow valley had already melted bit by bit. At the center of the ice lake, there was an ice tree that was rooted at the bottom of the lake. That tree looked like a Bodhi tree, but it was not. There were already 40 to 50 white flower buds on the tree. They had yet to bloom, but they were already giving off a cold fragrance. That ice tree was the dust tree. Those flower buds were the dust flowers that had yet to bloom. Just by smelling the fragrance of the dust flowers, Old Monster 2 and the others immediately felt refreshed. All the pores on their bodies felt refreshed and refreshed. Their comprehension ability had been slightly improved. This flower can really increase one's comprehension ability. Old Man K didn't lie to us. Ha! Once this flower blooms, we will be able to pluck it and consume it. The old ancestor of Iron Cloud said excitedly. Hee hee. Of course, I won't lie to you. After all of you are the tree slaves that I have chosen. Blood seal, lock. The corner of Kei Shensi's mouth curved into a cold arc. He suddenly made a hand seal and the barbarian blood rune that had disappeared on the left side of Old Monster 2 and the others immediately reappeared. At the moment when the rune appeared, their cultivation base was immediately sealed and they lost control of their bodies. Their eyes were filled with shock and anger. With their intelligence, how could they not know that there was something wrong with the barbarian blood pill given by Kei Shensi? Old Man K, what do you mean by this? This joke isn't funny at all. The old ancestor of Iron Cloud was the first to roar. His eyes were filled with rage. K. Old Man K, quickly undo this seal. What are you trying to do? Old Monster 2's face turned pale and cursed inwardly. Kei Shensi, you lied to me. The four-eyed devil monarch roared with blood-red eyes. Kei Shensi. I am a member of the Guanhan Palace. How dare you attack me? Aren't you afraid that the Guanhan Palace will take revenge on you? Fairy Han Wu was the calmest person among the four of them. Even though she was shocked, she did not panic. Wait. Why is Ning Fan fine? Could it be that he is in cahoots with Kei Shensi? The old ancestor of Iron Cloud suddenly exclaimed. For a moment, all eyes were fixed on Ning Fan. Those who had consumed the barbarian blood pill were now controlled by the rune and could not move at all. Only Ning Fan's body did not show any abnormality and he could still move. You really didn't consume the barbarian blood pill? You really are the person that I like the most. Good. Very good. Kei Shensi did not seem to be surprised that Ning Fan did not consume the pill, but his eyes gradually turned gloomy. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of disappointment and his mood became heavier. He regarded Kei Shensi as his benefactor and senior. If it was possible, he would not want to be Kei Shensi's enemy. However, today, he found out that Kei Shensi really had ulterior motives towards them. He was afraid that it would be very difficult for him not to become Kei Shensi's enemy. Senior, what is it that you are seeking? The dust flower should be just a cover for you to lure us here. Or perhaps, it's a part of your plan. There's still a moment before the dust flower blooms. Junior really wants to know, with your cultivation base, why would you go through so much trouble to scheme against us juniors whose cultivation base is far lower than yours? Ning Fan looked at Kei Shensi calmly without any fear in his eyes. With his ability to protect himself, no one would be able to catch him if he wanted to leave unless an immortal emperor intervened, not even Kei Shensi. If he wanted to fight, Kei Shensi might not be a match for him even with his peak Shishuang realm cultivation base. He was not afraid of Kei Shensi. He just wanted to verify Kei Shensi's motive from him. If it was possible, Ning Fan really did not want to become Kei Shensi's enemy. He did not want to turn against his benefactor, but if he had to become his enemy, Ning Fan would not show any mercy. Hee hee. Little friend, your courage is indeed extraordinary. I have already revealed my ferocious side, but you still dared to talk to me calmly. You're indeed a person who has achieved the unity of heaven and man. You're not someone that a pseudo-celestial being like me can be compared to. But it's a pity that your cultivation base is still too low. You can't escape from my control. Barbaric art, prison drawing. Kei Shensi sneered. He pointed his finger at Ning Fan and drew at the spot where Ning Fan was standing. In an instant, a black and red barbaric light flashed beneath Ning Fan's feet. A light prison rose and trapped Ning Fan within it. That light prison was so strong that no Shishuang realm could break it. The disappointment in Ning Fan's eyes deepened. He suddenly raised his hand and his fingertip was wrapped with barbaric light. Then, he pressed his palm towards the light prison and broke it easily. The reason why he could break the light prison with his palm was not because of his profound cultivation base, but because of the power of his Jie blood. Kei Shensi's gloomy eyes suddenly flashed with surprise. After the initial shock, it turned into ecstasy. He retracted his killing intent and said to Ning Fan. I didn't expect you to possess the Jie blood. You're the Tai Tsung Jie spirit. Good. Good. Little friend, you always bring me surprises. Since you possess the Jie blood, it's not like I can't befriend you sincerely. Little friend Ning, are you willing to help me sacrifice the blood of the barbarian world to awaken the 8th generation young barbarian lord? I want to wash away the humiliation of our barbarian world being invaded by foreign enemies for countless years and restore the prestige of the barbarian race. As long as you agree to my request and help me accomplish my great task, I can give you a great fortune. I will use the blood of 10,000 spirits to help you achieve minor accomplishment in your Jie blood. After that, you only need to cultivate diligently for 1,000,000 years and you will definitely achieve major accomplishment in your Jie blood. Then, you will become the #1 supreme being in the illusory world. With the power of your Jie sense, you will be invincible in this world. Little friend, Are you willing to join hands with me to slaughter all the living beings in the illusory world and destroy the world as a tribulation? Ning Fan did not answer Kei Shenxi's question. His eyes flashed with green light as if he had seen through something. His eyes revealed a hint of sadness and a trace of coldness. I see. You are not Kei Shenxi. You have possessed Senior Kei Shenxi's physical body. No, it's not an ordinary body possession. It's a kind of soul fusion that I have never heard of before. That's why you can travel the four heavens with the identity of Kei Shenxi. Your true form should be a cultivator of the ancient barbarian world. I have seen this kind of chi before. You are not Kei Shenxi. Who are you? This man is not Kei Shenxi at all. This man is not my benefactor. Chapter 882. How can you be so sure that I'm not Kei Shenxi? Kei Shenxi smiled disapprovingly. Because you have the aura of a Fan clan cultivator on you. As soon as Ning Fan's voice faded, Kei Shenxi's expression changed dramatically. Killing intent spread out from his eyes crazily, enough to swallow the entire world. That was definitely not the pressure that Shikong old monster should have. That pressure was something that only an ancient monster could possess. Where did you hear about the Fan family? At this moment, Kei Shenxi's heart was in turmoil. Just like what Ning Fan had said, he was not Kei Shenxi. Instead, he was the remnant soul of an immortal venerable from the Fan clan of the ancient savage wilderness. When the seventh barbaric ancestor was killed by the group of black monks and the Fan clan was annihilated, he was the only one who attached his remnant soul to the dust tree and hid himself, barely surviving. 5 million years ago, the real Kei Shenxi entered the wilderness and trespassed into the snow valley in an attempt to steal the dust flower. However, he was possessed by the remnant soul of an immortal venerable in the dust tree and killed. Originally, barbarians were unable to transcend the laws of heaven and earth and enter the four heavens immortal realm. However, the remnant soul of the immortal venerable had used a special method of possession and became the new Kei Shenxi, successfully transcending the laws and entering the northern heaven immortal realm. For the past 5 million years, no one could tell that he was not Kei Shenxi and no one could expose his identity as a cultivator of the Fan family. The Fan family was the #1 cultivation family of the primordial wilderness. In the history of the primordial wilderness, there were a total of 7 generations of primordial ancestors and all of them were from the Fan family. However, the Fan family had been exterminated a long time ago. It was impossible for anyone in the world to know that the Fan family had once existed. Even the demon race that worked with him did not know of the Fan family's past. Kei Shenxi was very concerned about how Ning Fan heard about the Fan family. He was worried that this matter would become an unforeseen event in his plan. Under Kei Shenxi's unrestrained immortal reverent aura, Old Monster 2 and the rest turned pale and coughed out blood, their eyes filled with shock. They had never thought that Kei Shenxi had concealed himself so deeply. Despair filled their hearts as they thought that there was no way for them to escape today. Ning Fan was the only one who remained calm despite being at the center of the pressure. You really are a cultivator of the Fan family. Judging from this pressure, you were an immortal sovereign of the Fan family in the ancient times. But it's a pity that you have lost all of your cultivation base after seizing Kei Shenxi's body. Although you can enter the four heavens immortal world, you're no longer an immortal venerable expert. Your body seizing technique seems to have a lot of drawbacks, but I'm still very interested in it. This is the first time I've heard of a body seizing technique that can hide from the Tao laws of the world. Ning Fan had comprehended the prestige secret art and the force secret art at the same time. Naturally, he would not be afraid of Kei Shenxi's immortal venerated aura pressure. His expression was still calm and composed. He was quite interested in Kei Shenxi's possession art. If Xiao Dai cultivated this kind of possession technique, she could possess another person's physical body and conceal her cultivation from the laws of heaven and earth. With her cultivation, she could walk the path of immortality step by step. Kei Shensi squinted his eyes as he calmed down and retracted his killing intent. Naturally, he did not expect that Ning Fan would actually be able to resist his immortal venerable realm aura pressure. One should know that ordinary Du Zhen and Shi Kong could not withstand his immortal venerable realm aura pressure at all. They did not even have the right to stand in front of him. Kei Shensi's intuition told him that Ning Fan was not a simple person. It would be unwise for him to become enemies with him. With a wave of his hand, Kei Shensi set up a soundproof barrier between him and Ning Fan. Little friend Ning, you have hidden yourself very well. Forget it. This old man won't ask you where you heard about the Fan clan. I only have one question for you. Are you willing to help me perform a blood sacrifice in the wildlands and awaken the 8th generation young priest? This matter will be of great benefit to both of us. Kei Shensi said with a bewitching tone. Blood sacrifice in the wildlands? Awaken the 8th young priest? Why should I help you? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly gloomy. He could not help but imagine the cruel scene of the barbaric ancestor performing a blood sacrifice in the desolate wasteland. After many years of transcending into a mortal, he had developed some feelings for the wilderness. He couldn't bring himself to sacrifice the wilderness and slaughter countless mortals like the barbaric ancestor. Little friend, since you have the Jie blood, you should be able to hear the chanting of scriptures beside the blood river. Since you know about the Fan family, do you know why my Fan family was destroyed? Kei Shensi's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at the sky in rage. Seeing that Ning Fan remained silent, he continued. We cultivators of the wildlands were once servants of the Grand Firmament Tribulation Spirit, but he abandoned us. Did you know that the Grand Firmament Tribulation Spirit bestowed upon us a formation in the wilderness called the Immemorial Dust-Defying Formation? 6 generations of Berserker ancestors tried to use this rune to awaken their Kulpa blood and ascend to the higher realms, but all of them failed. Instead, they lost all their Berserker blood and died with hatred in their hearts, turning into stone statues. The 6th barbarian ancestor may have fallen, but he left behind a will to protect the wilderness, and it has fused into the 6 stone statues. With the protection of the 6 ancestors, the 7th barbarian ancestor finally had the chance to truly awaken his Jie blood. If he succeeds in awakening his blood, the wilderness will no longer be a slave race. We will become a tribulation venerable force in the upper realm. However, just before the 7th Berserker ancestor successfully awakened his blood, the tribulation spirits of Grand Firmament descended to the lower realm and killed the 7th Berserker ancestor. They also destroyed the entire wilderness. From that day on, all Xiu clan people in Wasteland were uprooted. With the heavenly Tao of the wilderness destroyed, the barbarians could no longer cultivate. In the entire Fan family, apart from me, no one else can survive. And the reason why the tribulation spirits of Grand Firmament destroyed the wilderness was because they no longer needed us. Since then, the wilderness has become a battlefield for the cultivators of the illusory world. Every time a war breaks out, a large number of barbarians and beasts will die in the flames of war. You may understand the sorrow of my country being destroyed and my family being destroyed. You may also understand the pain of watching my people being killed in front of my eyes but being unable to save them. As he said this, Kei Shensi clenched his fists unwillingly and let out a long sigh. The young barbarian scripture, that little friend heard by the blood river, is a scripture that I deduced after using the power of my remnant soul and tens of thousands of divinations. Based on my deduction, the fate of the wilderness will only be rewritten when the 8th barbarian ancestor is born. The wilderness world is a medium-sized world. Every generation of barbarian ancestor is the lord of the wilderness world. Those barbarian ancestors who are not recognized by the wilderness world are called young barbarian ancestor. The 7th barbarian ancestor has passed away. The reason why I have survived until now is to awaken the 8th young barbarian ancestor from thousands of barbarians. Every generation of barbarian ancestor was born from ordinary barbarians. The young barbarian scripture told me that when I perform the blood sacrifice in the wilderness, the 8th young barbarian ancestor will awaken from the barbarians after 3 lifetimes of cultivation. This is also the reason why I decided to perform the blood sacrifice in the wilderness. When the foreign races invaded the wilderness, the immemorial earth-defying formation fell into the hands of the demon race. Unfortunately, they didn't know the method to activate the formation and could only seal it temporarily. After I took over Kei Shensi's body, I controlled some of the barbarian beasts and made an agreement with the demon race. I told them the method to operate the immemorial earth-defying formation and the secret to nurture the rebellious infant. I wanted to use the demon race to awaken the grand formation and perform the blood sacrifice in the wilderness. Unfortunately, the demon race didn't do their job well. First, they lost a large number of rebellious infant. Then, more than half of the formation was destroyed by the human race. As a result, I had no choice but to postpone the blood sacrifice in the wilderness. Fortunately, I have a new plan after meeting Little Friend, a heavenly being cultivator. That is to take over the dust tree. After possessing the dust tree for a long period of time, I discovered that there is a remnant of an extremely strong tribulation intent in the tree. As long as I can extract this intent and devour it, I have a 30% chance of awakening the tribulation blood and achieve what the 7th barbarian ancestor couldn't, which is to become a grand firmament tribulation spirit. Even if I can't awaken the tribulation blood, I can still break the shackles of Kei Shensi's physical body with the power of this intent and get rid of all the hidden dangers of seizing his body. Then, I can cultivate back to the immortal venerable realm bit by bit. After that, I will personally perform the blood sacrifice in the wilderness and devour the bloodline of all living beings in the wilderness to obtain my own barbarian body. At that time, I won't need to painstakingly look for the 8th barbarian young barbarian master. I can become the 8th barbarian young barbarian master by myself. No, I can become the 8th barbarian ancestor. Kei Shensi's eyes became crazier and crazier. Ning Fan had seen that craziness in the eyes of the 7th barbarian ancestor before. In order to become a grand firmament tribulation spirit, the 7th barbarian ancestor did not hesitate to sacrifice the entire wilderness. In order to become the 8th barbarian ancestor, Kei Shensi also did not hesitate to sacrifice the entire wilderness. To be honest, when Ning Fan heard Kei Shensi talk about the past of the extinction of the wilderness, he felt a little sympathy for him. However, when he heard that Kei Shensi wanted to sacrifice the entire wilderness, his sympathy for Kei Shensi instantly vanished. While Kei Shensi was talking, 15 minutes had passed. The flower buds of the dust tree had already bloomed one after another. A delicate fragrance filled the air. Kei Shensi's eyes looked at the dust flower on the tree. His eyes became even more fervent. The best time to extract the dust trees was when the dust flower bloomed. If he has the help of a true heavenly being realm cultivator, Kei Shensi was quite confident that he could extract the remaining will of the tribulation lord from the dust tree. He was different from Ning Fan. He was not a true heavenly being realm cultivator. However, because the soul of an immortal venerable realm cultivator had possessed the dust tree for countless years, he had absorbed a lot of nutrients from the dust tree, which greatly increased his comprehension ability. On the surface, he looked like a heavenly being realm cultivator, but in reality, he was not. If he was the one who extracted the dust tree's will, the success rate would not be high. However, if it's Ning Fan, it should be foolproof. Kei Shensi needed Ning Fan's help to extract the dust tree's will. Besides that, the probability of Kei Shensi fusing with the dust tree's will and cultivating the tribulation blood was only 30%, which was not high. If Ning Fan was willing to activate the pressure of the tribulation blood to help Kei Shensi fuse with the dust tree's will, the probability of Kei Shensi cultivating the tribulation blood would be as high as 70%. He needed Ning Fan's help to fuse with the blood. Of course, what Kei Shensi needed the most was Ning Fan's help to sacrifice the wilderness and become the 8th young barbarian realm cultivator. If there was a grand firmament tribulation spirit to help him operate the immemorial dust-defying formation, he would have a high chance of becoming the 8th young barbarian realm cultivator by devouring the blood of 10,000 spirits. Little friend, are you willing to help me extract the will of the dust tree, help me cultivate the calamity blood, and help me sacrifice the barbarian world? If you agree to my request, I can give you my body seizing technique. As soon as he finished speaking, Kei Shensi took out the scroll Dao weapon and unfurled it, showing Ning Fan the 2 female phoenixes who were struggling in the painting. As far as I know, these 7 females of the Phoenix clan have an impressive background. They are not 7 individuals but the same person. She is the current Phoenix concubine of the Tianlan Phoenix clan. Because her demon soul was divided into 7 parts, her physical body was divided into 7 parts and turned into 7 females. If the 7 souls fuse into one, they will become an eternal cauldron. Little friend, you have already captured 5 female phoenixes. If you capture these 2 females, it is equivalent to obtaining an eternal cauldron. I can tell that little friend cultivates an extremely profound dual cultivation technique. If little friend agrees to help me, then I can give you these 2 Phoenix clan cauldrons. I can also help little friend fuse his 7 souls into one and obtain an immemorial realm cauldron. Ning Fan's expression did not change after hearing what Kei Shensi said, but he was secretly shocked. He did not expect that the demon phoenix cauldron he captured was the product of the demon soul of the Tianlan Phoenix clan. Little friend, you are different from me. You are a true celestial being realm cultivator. This dust flower will be very beneficial to you. To tell you the truth, the flower plucking finger art that I gave to you is only an incomplete finger art that I deduced from an ancient book. I've already tried it, but I can't pluck the flowers from the dust tree. However, if you help me extract the will of the dust tree, I will become the dust tree after fusing with it. Then, it will be very easy for me to give you the flower on the tree. If you are willing to help me, I can give you this dust flower with both hands. If I can't fuse with the will of the dust tree, you can forget about getting the dust flower. If you help me, I am willing to share the blood of 10,000 living beings in the wild world with you when I perform the blood sacrifice in the wild world in the future and help you achieve minor completion in your calamity blood. Once you achieve minor completion in your calamity blood, you will be invincible in the void abandoning realm even if your cultivation base is only at the mid-crossing truth realm. If you achieve major completion in your calamity blood one day, you will be invincible in the illusory world unless you meet a sage. I know the method to raise an inverse infant. If you help me, I will become the barbaric ancestor in the future. I am willing to raise an inverse infant for you and help you achieve major completion in your calamity blood, allowing you to walk on the path of invincibility. Little friend. I have already shown so much sincerity. I only have one question for you. Are you willing to help me? Kei Shensi looked at Ning Fan confidently. He firmly believed that his words were enough to move Ning Fan. He could tell that Ning Fan was a devil cultivator who killed without batting an eyelid. He firmly believed that Ning Fan was a cruel and merciless person who would do anything in order to obtain cultivation base. Such a person would be easily manipulated by others. He firmly believed that after offering so many benefits, it would be enough to move Ning Fan's heart that desired cultivation base. Unfortunately, Kei Shensi was destined to be disappointed. Even though Ning Fan desired cultivation base, he would not abandon his principles for it. It was fine to extract the will of the dust tree. If it was just to help Kei Shensi, Ning Fan would not go against his Tao heart. However, the only thing that Ning Fan could not do was to sacrifice the lives of countless mortals in the wild world. Ever since he stepped onto the path of cultivation, he had asked himself not to harm the lives of mortals. Mortals should not be involved in the bloody sea of cultivation. The wild world was Zhao Dai's home. Ning Fan would never do something like sacrificing the lives of millions of barbarians in exchange for cultivation base. If he did, he would not be able to face Zhao Dai. Moreover, he also knew that Kei Shensi was just using him despite his extravagant words. He was using his identity as a celestial being realm cultivator and the calamity blood in his body. After using him, given Kei Shenxi's cold-blooded personality, he would certainly not let him live. Ning Fan was not a fool. He would not be so foolish as to be used by Kei Shenxi. He had already figured out Kei Shenxi's purpose. He finally understood why the demon race knew how to raise a defying infant and why they wanted to lift the seal on the immemorial dust-defying formation. It turned out that they were being used by Kei Shenxi. Ning Fan could feel that there was a sense of sorrow in Kei Shenxi's body. It had lingered for a long time. That sorrow was left behind by the real Kei Shenxi before he died. Kei Shenxi was unwilling to be possessed by someone, but he died with hatred. His sorrow hadn't dissipated for millions of years, waiting for a release. Kei Shenxi yearned for release. He yearned for someone to kill the person who possessed him so that the soul of the immortal venerables would no longer use his corpse for evil purposes. Ning Fan's mind recalled the past events of Wu Yu in the Dark Sparrow's grave. He was indebted to Kei Shenxi. Even if it was just to free Kei Shenxi, Ning Fan would not help this fake Kei Shenxi. "I'm sorry. I can't accept your suggestion." "What? You actually refuse to help me?" Kei Shenxi's eyes turned cold. Obviously, he did not expect that Ning Fan would reject his suggestion. "You've possessed Senior Kei Shenxi's body and harmed his life. Of course, I won't help you. The only thing I can do is to send him to his death. Rain Yin Yang, unseal. Battle Yin Yang, unseal." Ning Fan unsealed the two great Yin and Yang consecutively, activated the war god art and used the soul extraction technique. His aura force suddenly skyrocketed. Even though it was not at the mid-void abandoning realm, it was much stronger than Old Monster 2 and the others. He raised his palm and directly crushed the soundproof barrier that Kei Shenxi laid down. Hiss. This young man has such a powerful secret technique. In just a few seconds, his strength has actually skyrocketed to such a level. Old Ancestor Iron Cloud and the others revealed a look of surprise. The four of them were immobilized by Kei Shenxi. Their only hope now was for Ning Fan to completely break off his relationship with Kei Shenxi and defeat him to save the four of them. Due to the existence of the soundproof barrier, they did not know about Kei Shenxi's suggestion. However, they could tell from his anger that Ning Fan and Kei Shenxi were not on the same side. Kei Shenxi's immortal venerated chi force was indeed shocking, but Ning Fan's secret technique was equally shocking. Fairy Han Wu looked at Ning Fan with her beautiful eyes full of hope. If Ning Fan could save her and escape from here, she would definitely repay him handsomely. Among the four of them, the one who had the most confidence in Ning Fan was Old Monster Tuesday. In his opinion, Ning Fan was originally a thought-breaking old monster. Even if Kei Shenxi had the immortal venerated chi force, he was not an immortal venerated chi force after all. It was impossible for him to defeat Ning Fan. "Send me to my death. Little friend, you sure have a big mouth. Unfortunately, it's really wishful thinking if you want to be my enemy with your strength. Since you don't want to accept my kindness, don't blame me for being merciless." Kei Shenxi sneered. He had already made up his mind. After capturing Ning Fan, he would abandon Kei Shenxi's physical body and directly seize Ning Fan's physical body using a secret technique. Ning Fan was a true heavenly being realm cultivator and he was the Tai Tsung Jieling. After seizing Ning Fan's body, he would naturally be able to carry out his previous plan. Sinister Sparrow Painting. Keep. Kei Shenxi raised his hand and took out the scroll Dao weapon. The scroll unfurled in the wind and shone with thousands of rays of divine light at Ning Fan, as if it wanted to directly suck Ning Fan into the scroll. A sense of danger immediately spread throughout Ning Fan's body. No matter what, Kei Shenxi was a peak-shedding void realm expert. With Ning Fan's current strength, it would still be somewhat difficult for him to fight against him. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan withdrew himself and flew backwards. At the same time, he raised his finger and pointed forward. A ray of black light penetrated his finger and immediately turned into a cloaked old man who did not reveal any chi at all. His expression was blank and numb. He stood in front of Ning Fan and blocked him. A puppet, huh? Ordinary puppets can't stop my sinister sparrow painting. Kei Shensi harumphed coldly. He used the sinister sparrow painting to forcefully subdue the cloaked old man, but he realized that he could not subdue the puppet at all. Only then did he realize that the level of this puppet might have exceeded the absorption ability of the sinister sparrow painting. Destroy this painting. Ning Fan gave an order and hooked the puppet line between his fingers. The cloaked puppet immediately received Ning Fan's order and threw a punch at the sinister sparrow painting in front of him. It was a simple punch, but it had the power to destroy heaven and earth because it was the full power of a mid-thought fragmentation realm puppet. With just a single strike, the sinister sparrow painting was shattered. The two trapped demon phoenixes also fell out from the painting. Due to the impact of the punch, they were injured and lost consciousness. Ning Fan casually sealed them and threw them into the profound Yin world. Now was not the time to deal with these demon phoenix cauldrons. It's actually a mid-thought fragmentation realm puppet. Kei Shensi's expression changed drastically. He coughed out blood and retreated continuously. Obviously, he had suffered a great backlash when his Dao weapon was destroyed. Fairy Han Wu, Four-Eyed Devil Monarch and Old Ancestor Iron Cloud were all shocked. None of them would have thought that Ning Fan would have a heaven-defying item like the thought fragmentation puppet. Even Old Monster 2, who had always looked up to Ning Fan, revealed a look of disbelief. The thought fragmentation puppet was a rare item. Even among the ancient immortal venerables, only a few of them had it. Kill him. Ning Fan gave another order in a deep voice and triggered the Six Desires puppet line. The cloaked puppet heard the order and immediately rushed at Kei Shensi with its fists. After a few punches, Kei Shensi was sent flying backwards while coughing out blood. Good. 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 What a good Ning Fan. This old man has underestimated you. You have the thought fragmentation puppet as your trump card, but I also have my trump card. First slave of the dust tree, Earth Devil. Killing intent flashed in Kei Shensi's eyes. He performed a hand seal and the barbaric blood runes on Old Monster 2's body immediately spread to his whole body. With a wail, his sea of consciousness was shattered and he died. Although Old Monster 2's sea of consciousness was shattered, his corpse was still under Kei Shensi's control. He suddenly squatted down and slammed his palm on the ground. Immediately, a hole with distorted space appeared on the ground. That hole had spiritual intelligence. That hole was a secret treasure passed down by Old Monster 2's ancestor. It was refined by a powerful Earth Devil. Old Monster 2 opened his mouth and directly swallowed the hole into his stomach. Immediately, his face showed a painful expression. His corpse gradually merged with the hole in the ground, turning into an earth demon at the peak of the Skysplit realm. Ha! I have been sealed by the cultivators of Tu Clan for many years. Finally, I can see the light of day again. Is it you who released me? Earth Demon had already taken over Old Monster 2's body and was using Old Monster 2's body to ask Kei Shensi. That's right. It's me who helped you break the seal. When you were at your peak, your cultivation base was close to the eternal ancient realm. Now that you have just broken the seal, your cultivation base has yet to recover. However, as long as you follow me wholeheartedly, I will help you recover your cultivation base and break through the eternal ancient realm one day. Kei Shensi said while fighting against the cloaked puppet. Humph. I am a dignified Earth Devil. Why should I listen to you? The Earth Devil grinned hideously. He did not put Kei Shensi in his eyes at all. Kei Shensi's face darkened. With a thought, the barbarian blood runes in the Earth Devil's body were immediately activated. The Earth Devil was in so much pain that he wanted to die. When he looked at Kei Shensi again, his eyes were filled with intense hatred. How dare you plant a restriction on me? You're courting death. Humph. Cut the crap. Quickly help me fight against this puppet. You are my tree slave. Don't you dare to betray me. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will activate the restriction and kill you. The Earth Devil gritted his teeth, but he did not dare to disobey Kei Shensi's order. He activated his divine ability and joined the battle. Kei Shensi and the Earth Devil joined hands to resist the Thought Shensi puppet. After a while, they gradually stabilized the situation. Second tree slave, Iron Crow. Kei Shensi's eyes turned cold again. This time, it was the old ancestor of Iron Cloud who screamed. Still calling for strong reinforcements. Ning Fan's eyes darkened and swept across the old ancestor, four-eyed devil monarch and fairy Han Wu. An aura that was not weaker than the Earth Devil gradually spread from the old ancestor's body. When the barbarian blood runes covered the old ancestor's body, an evil laughter suddenly came through the corpse of the old ancestor. Ha! I, Iron Crow, have finally seen the light of day again. Which fellow Taoist has saved me? Allow me to express my gratitude. There's no need to thank me. You are my slave. Quickly help me fight against this puppet. Kei Shensi said in a deep voice. Chapter 883. Heh, you want this old man to be your slave? You sure talk big, fellow Taoist. When I was at my peak, even a second tribulation immortal venerable would have to be polite to me. Even the Northern Heaven immortal king would not be able to make me kneel down and fawn over him. Who do you think you are to make this old man a slave? Iron Cloud Ancestor's corpse suddenly exploded into a mist of blood, and a gloomy black figure walked out from it. His name was Iron Crow Taoist, and he looked at Kei Shensi with contempt. Kei Shensi snorted coldly and without wasting any time with Iron Crow Taoist, he immediately activated the barbarian blood rune. With the activation of the runes, Taoist Iron Crow immediately cried out in pain and said angrily, "What a powerful restriction! How dare you plant a restriction on this old man? Taoist Iron Crow. You are an ancient immortal venerable, and I am also an ancient immortal venerable. My cultivation is stronger than yours. I've already placed a restriction on you now, and you've become my slave. If you dare speak disrespectfully to me again, then don't blame me for activating the restriction and annihilating you. Quickly help this old man fight against this fiend. If you dare to disobey this old man's orders, this old man will definitely punish you severely." Although Iron Crow Taoist hated Kei Shensi to the core, he was also extremely afraid of the restriction within his body. Looking at the situation on the battlefield, he felt slightly better when he saw that there was an Earth Devil slave beside Kei Shensi, who seemed to be an immortal reverend in the past. Rolling his eyes gloomily, he sneered and joined the battle, joining forces with Kei Shensi and Earth Demon to resist the cloaked puppet. Even though the cloaked puppet was a mid-thought fragmentation realm puppet, Ning Fan could not unleash its full power. He could only control it to launch simple attacks. When Kei Shensi and the others were at their peak, they were all immortal venerables and were not to be trifled with. Even if he could only unleash the peak strength of Shizong Kong, he was not to be underestimated. The puppet was still able to fight evenly with Kei Shensi and Earth Demon, but after Tai Yat joined the battle, the situation became unfavorable for the puppet. I'm not the real Ren Huang Kong, so I can't unleash the full power of this puppet. If this goes on, it's only a matter of time before I lose. Ning Fan's eyes became increasingly solemn. One of his hands was controlling the puppet strings while the other hand was placed on the soul pouch hanging on his waist. Other than the thought-shattering puppet, Ning Fan still had another trump card that could save his life, the Divine Blast technique. There were a lot of second-step primordial spirits inside the soul pouch. There was even a primordial spirit of the broken thought fragment. It was the primordial spirit of the red-eyed old monster who chased after Ning Fan in the divine tomb. If Ning Fan makes all of his primordial spirits explode, he would certainly cause unimaginable damage to Kei Shensi and the others. When Kei Shensi saw that the cloaked puppet was gradually losing the battle, he felt relieved. But the moment Ning Fan placed his palm on the soul pouch, a sense of foreboding rose in his heart. Without any reason, all the hairs on his back stood up and he was secretly frightened. Not good. Other than the thought-shattering puppet, this kid still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. Although they didn't know what kind of divine ability he was going to use, they definitely couldn't let him use it. Otherwise, this old man's life will be in danger. The third tree slave, appear. The fourth tree slave, appear. In a hurry, Kei Shensi made 2 hand seals. The instant he formed a hand seal, the four-eyed demon monarch and fairy Han Wu both cried out in pain, and were on the verge of death. Ning Fan's expression immediately changed. How could he not know that Kei Shensi was going to summon another ferocious creature from their bodies? With the addition of the Earth Devil and Iron Crow, the situation was already very tricky. If Kei Shensi were to summon something else, Ning Fan knew that his chances of winning would be slim. Don't even think about summoning another ferocious creature. After giving up on the idea of using the Spirit Blast technique immediately, Ning Fan's body swayed and turned into a ray of golden light. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the four-eyed demon monarch and fairy Han Wu. His left and right index fingers pointed at the space between their eyebrows, activating a trace of tribulation blood power. As Ning Fan's finger light landed on them, the two of them let out a muffled groan and fainted on the ground. The barbarian blood runes that covered their bodies faded away bit by bit. Ning Fan had actually used the power of his tribulation blood to suppress the barbarian blood runes in their bodies. As expected of the Tai Tsung tribulation spirit. It can actually suppress the power of the barbarian blood pill. It seems like I won't be able to summon the last 2 tree slaves without paying some price. Kei Shensi signaled the Earth Devil and Iron Crow with his eyes. Then, he retreated and jumped out of the battle circle. Using 2 of his fingers on his right hand, he cut his left palm, causing blood to flow out. Then, he slammed his palm on the ground of the snowy valley. Immediately, a small black and red blood formation appeared on the ground. It flashed like lightning and whistled within the blood formation. Kei Shensi then put his palms together and muttered an incantation. Immediately, a ray of light flew out from the bodies of the four-eyed demon monarch and fairy Han Wu who had fainted on the ground. The rays of light shot into the blood formation and gradually turned into 2 shadows. The dark shadow on the left was a giant devil that was around 3 zhang tall. His body emitted a rotten and filthy corpse chi. His cultivation base was close to the early thought fragmentation realm. The bright shadow on the right was a ray of broken moonlight. The moonlight was sometimes bright and sometimes dark. It vaguely had the shape of a human but it could not completely condense into a human. Hiss. How could the remnant spirit of immortal concubine Zhang Yu be broken by someone? Who did this? Kei Shensi looked at the broken moonlight and was secretly shocked. Of course, he did not know that the reason why immortal concubine Zhang Yu's remnant spirit was broken was related to Han Wu. It seems like the 4th tree slave is temporarily useless. Kei Shensi harumphed coldly. Just as he was about to make a hand seal to disperse the moonlight, a cold and arrogant female voice came from the moonlight. Was it you who helped me to break the seal? You helped this empress, so this empress should have rewarded you. However, you just had to plant a restriction in this empress body, violating this empress taboo. You deserve to die. The human-shaped moonlight scolded and pressed her palm down. Countless rays of moonlight immediately lashed at Kei Shensi. Kei Shensi's expression changed. He quickly made a hand seal and activated the barbaric blood runes in the bodies of the giant devil and the human-shaped moonlight at the same time to break the attacks of the moonlight. When he looked at the human-shaped moonlight again, he was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect that immortal concubine Zhang Yu could still display the strength of an early thought fragmentation realm cultivator even though her remnant spirit was scattered. I really admire you. Unfortunately, immortal concubine has already been planted with a restriction by me and has become my slave. Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better not provoke me when you're living under someone else's roof. Kei Shensi looked at the giant devil and said with a sinister smile. Immortal Venerable Sang Men, I'll have to trouble you and immortal concubine Zhang Yu to help me kill this brat. Don't try to disobey my orders. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. The giant devil who was called Immortal Venerable Sang Men harumphed coldly. His eyes swept across the battlefield and joined the battle. He quickly understood the situation and did not talk nonsense with Kei Shensi. The human-shaped moonlight that immortal concubine Zhang Yu had turned into tried to break the restriction in her body. After failing to do so, she snorted and no longer talked back to Kei Shensi. Her eyes swept across the battlefield and suddenly saw Ning Fan. Her killing intent instantly spread like a tidal wave. She remembered Ning Fan's chi very clearly. Previously, when she was about to succeed in seizing Fairy Han Wu's body, Fairy Han Wu was hit by Ning Fan's purple cloud enchanting technique. When the enchanting technique entered Fairy Han Wu's body, immortal concubine Zhang Yu who was hiding in Fairy Han Wu's sea of consciousness was also affected by the enchanting technique. At the critical moment of seizing Fairy Han Wu's body, she suffered a backlash. Due to a moment of carelessness, her broken spirit collapsed and turned into a body of moonlight. It's you. You're the one who sabotaged my great plan of seizing my body. You're the one who severely injured my broken spirit. You deserve to die. Immortal concubine Zhang Yu's body suddenly turned into a ray of dazzling moonlight. She directly passed the cloaked puppet and rushed towards Ning Fan. She swore to kill Ning Fan in a single strike to vent the hatred in her heart. Ning Fan turned into a ray of golden light and retreated, avoiding immortal concubine Zhang Yu's attack. However, his heart sank. He had already suppressed the medicinal power of the barbaric blood pill in the bodies of the four-eyed devil monarch and Fairy Han Wu. However, he still failed to stop Kei Shensi from summoning tree slaves. Today, Kei Shensi had already summoned 4 tree slaves. Each of them was once a famous figure in the northern heaven. Earth Devil, Iron Crow, Death Sect. Ning Fan had never heard of their names before. However, he could vaguely tell that they were once immortal venerables of a region when they were at their peak. As for immortal concubine Zhang Yu, Ning Fan had heard of her before. She was one of the ancient immortal emperors who founded the vast cold palace. When she was at her peak, it was said that she was an immortal emperor who had passed the 9th tribulation. It was said that immortal concubine Zhang Yu had once betrayed the vast cold palace due to certain reasons. It was also said that immortal concubine Zhang Yu and many other immortal emperors of the vast cold palace had gone missing after the collapse of the ancient heavenly court. Ning Fan had never expected that the ancient immortal emperors who had been lost in history would become his enemy in such a way. Kei Shensi himself was also an immortal venerable of the past. Even though Kei Shensi and the others were not at their peak and the highest cultivation base was only at the early thought fragmentation realm, they still gave Ning Fan a pressure that was as heavy as a mountain. Ning Fan knew that he was not going to fight an early thought fragmentation realm expert and 4 peak shedding void realm experts in this battle. Instead, he was going to fight against 5 immortal venerables and immortal emperors who had yet to recover their cultivation base. His chances of winning this battle were slim. It was almost impossible for him to defeat the 5 ancient experts with his thought fragmentation puppet and spirit blast technique. The wise move was to use the speed of the golden light to escape from the encirclement of the 5 experts, giving up on Chen Hua and taking revenge for the fallen Kei Shensi. However, Ning Fan was not willing to escape. Kei Shensi's unwilling pleas kept echoing in his ears. Ning Fan, who was in the unity of heaven and man, could hear the pleas of the real Kei Shensi from the body of the fake Kei Shensi. I don't want to be possessed by someone. I don't want to. No matter who it is, hurry up and free me. Kill the person who has taken over my body. I don't want my corpse to be controlled by someone. I don't want to. Who will free me? I don't want to. Ning Fan's eyes were burning with the flames of battle. He was not going to escape. He wanted to free his former benefactor, Kei Shensi, right here and now. So what if you were an immortal venerate or an immortal emperor? They are just a group of undead spirits that have survived until today. Why should I be afraid? Fight! 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 Tens of thousands of flames of battle burned in Ning Fan's body. His black hair instantly turned blood red and his eyes were filled with the madness of a devil. The more desperate the situation was, the more reason he could not retreat. However, it was the only reason he could activate the power of the war god art. In the past, even though Ning Fan had successfully cultivated the fourth transformation of the war god art, he did not have a deep understanding of it because he had only cultivated it for a short period of time. At this moment, Ning Fan's understanding of the fourth transformation of the war god art continued to deepen. The essence of the fourth transformation of the war god art was just a simple sentence. Even if there are millions of enemies, I will go forward. It doesn't matter if the enemies are strong or weak, they can't get rid of the obsession in my heart. If I want to go, no one can stop me even if there are millions of soldiers in front of me. Only then can I be worthy of the word war. Since immortal concubine Zhang Yu's attack failed, she tapped the ground with the tip of her toes again. She held the moonlight waterfall in her hand and tried to bind Ning Fan. This time, Ning Fan did not retreat. His eyes were filled with battle intent as he looked at immortal concubine Zhang Yu. He could see that immortal concubine Zhang Yu's moonlight body was not stable. It was in danger of collapsing at any time. To him, this was an opportunity. Ning Fan controlled the puppet with one hand to slow down Kei Shensi and the others. His other hand clenched into a fist. Millions of strands of chaotic purple light gathered in his fist and turned into 9 layers of undercurrents. Then, he threw a punch at immortal concubine Zhang Yu. Sunset technique, 9 stacks force. The moonlight waterfall that was as soft as air shattered Ning Fan's fist light with just a light strike. Then, it swept across Ning Fan's body and bound him. Ning Fan was bound by the waterfall. As the waterfall tightened, endless moonlight power rushed into his body and destroyed it wantonly. In just an instant, Ning Fan suffered countless injuries and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood. However, his eyes were still filled with battle intent. He was not a match for immortal concubine Zhang Yu in a head-on battle and was defeated by her in a single strike. However, he still used the sunset technique to ambush her. The 9 layers of hidden force passed through the moonlight waterfall and reached immortal concubine Zhang Yu's hands. Then, it went into her body along her arms. As soon as the 9 layers of hidden force entered her body, immortal concubine Zhang Yu immediately let out a moan. She was pushed back by the force. Every time she took a step back, the force would invade her body a little and the enchantment technique would deepen. After 3 steps, immortal concubine Zhang Yu's chi was already in a mess. After 6 steps, her magic power was already unstable. The moonlight waterfall that bound Ning Fan also broke apart one by one. After 9 steps, immortal concubine Zhang Yu's body went limp. Her moonlight body that was on the verge of collapsing could no longer be kept together. It directly crumbled in the air and emitted specks of moonlight. If it wasn't because she already had a broken spirit body and was affected by Ning Fan's sunset enchantment technique, she wouldn't have been defeated so easily by Ning Fan's 9 layers of hidden force. Unfortunately, there were no ifs in this world. Since Ning Fan had already seen through immortal concubine Zhang Yu's weakness, which was the instability of her moonlight body, he naturally had to grab hold of her weakness and attack her head-on. In the battle against immortal concubine Zhang Yu, his enchantment technique worked again. Keep. Ning Fan did not have the time to suppress the injuries in his body. He waved his sleeve, and before the scattered moonlight condensed again, he collected all of it and sealed it inside his sleeve. Kei Shensi and the others who were working together to suppress the cloaked puppet were shocked, and they saw Ning Fan subduing immortal concubine Zhang Yu in just one round. Since ancient times, there had never been any cultivator who could use the heretical enchantment technique in such a grand manner. Bewitching techniques had always been looked down upon. It was a common trick used by rapists, and rapists who cultivated by plucking nourishment often had superficial realms. Very few of them could go far on the path of cultivation, and none of them would have strong battle prowess. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was an exception. He was a devil lord who practiced dual cultivation, but his combat power was extremely high. In his hands, the enchantment technique was not a heretical technique. Instead, it was a lethal weapon that could restrain all the female cultivators in the world. Even someone as strong as immortal concubine Zhang Yu could only be slaughtered by Ning Fan when she turned into a humanoid moonlight. Suddenly, Ning Fan had an epiphany. In this world, there was no weak divine ability. As long as it meets the right user, any divine ability could become a peerless absolute art. Be it cultivation method or divine ability, there was no such thing as the strongest or the weakest. Ning Fan took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with battle intent as he looked at Kei Shensi. His left hand once again pressed on the soul pouch. As soon as he saw Ning Fan's action, Kei Shensi's heart was filled with warning signs. Earth Devil. Taya. Both of you work together to hold back the puppet for now. Sang Men, follow this old man and quickly take down this child. If we delay, there might be changes. As soon as his words fell, he dashed towards Ning Fan in a flash. His right hand immediately turned into a black and red beast claw. It interweaved with each other and clawed at Ning Fan's head. The giant devil known as the Morning Gate also soared into the sky. Countless iron spikes grew out of his body and shone with a cold light. He shrunk his body and rolled across the sky like an iron ball. With a force that could push mountains and fill the seas, he charged towards Ning Fan with a loud bang. In the face of Kei Shensi and immortal venerated Sang Men's deadly attacks, Ning Fan still did not take even half a step back. Instead, he forcefully tore the soul pouch with his left hand and tore it open. The world was immediately filled with thousands of mystic ardescent spirits. Their eyes were empty and their aura of death surged into the sky. Among those primordial spirits, there were countless void fragmentation realm primordial spirits and more than 600 life immortal realm primordial spirits. There were also the primordial spirits of Du Zhen, Shi Kong and Si Nian. Ning Fan, who had learned the secret of the word force, summoned his primordial spirit to set up a formation. Thus, the destructive power of the spirit blast technique was 3 times stronger than before. This was something that even the Yao family's patriarch, who created the God Blast technique, couldn't do. After all, the Yao family's patriarch didn't know the secret of power. It was no longer a simple God Blasting technique, but a God Blasting formation. This is the God Blast technique. Eastern Sky Yao family's God Blast technique. No, that's not right. I've never heard of the Soul Blast technique being used in such a manner. This is no longer the original God Blast technique. Kei Shensi was greatly shocked. He recognized the God Blast technique with just a single glance. It was already too late for him to retreat. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. He performed a hand seal and all the mystic ardescent spirits exploded at the same time. The explosion did not spread to the outside world. Instead, it was confined within a formation diagram. That was the formation diagram that Ning Fan created by using the secret of power. Outside the formation diagram, there was no sign of explosion. Inside the formation diagram, however, there was an explosion that could destroy heaven and earth that spread in all directions. The current Kei Shensi and Sang Men could not withstand the explosion of the Red Eye's old monster's broken primordial spirit. In addition to the explosion of the 600-life immortal realm, Du Zhen, Shi Kong and countless void fragmentation realm primordial spirits, Kei Shensi and Sang Men lost their lives in the god-blasting grand formation before they could even scream. The ghastly aurora of self-explosion lit up the entire Yellow River Snow Valley. Everyone in the barrier world could see the sky-piercing bloody light that erupted from the god-blasting grand formation. The army of demon cultivators who were still waiting outside the Yellow River Labyrinth were shocked and confused. At this moment, how could they not know that the enemy had already sneaked into the Yellow River Snow Valley? Unknowingly, an earth-shattering battle was triggered in the Snow Valley. The three early Shikong demon commanders looked at the direction of the Snow Valley with cold sweat dripping down their foreheads. They could feel the danger of certain death from the destructive bloody light. They could not recognize that the bloody light was the god-blasting technique because the technique had been modified by Ning Fan into a formation and had lost its original appearance. What a powerful ability! Even an early thought fragmentation realm old monster would most likely die if he is drawn into this bloody light. We can't cross the Blood River and reach the Snow Valley. We can't stop the human race from stealing the dust flower, and we are also powerless to stop the cultivators who can display this kind of ability. How can we resist them? Fortunately, no one has ever been able to pluck the dust flower. Naturally, these human cultivators won't be able to do it. We just need to stay here and strengthen the barrier to prevent the human cultivators from leaving. When the reinforcements arrive, we can join hands and take them down. In the Yellow River Snow Valley, the god-blasting grand formation gradually dispersed. 2 charred corpses fell from it. One of them was Kei Shensi's corpse while the other was Sang Men's corpse. Kei Shensi's storage pouch had already been shattered. The items inside were scattered all over the ground. Venerated Sang Men did not have a storage pouch. However, his corpse soon turned into gloomy corpse chi and perished in the air. After all, he was a tree slave that Kei Shensi summoned from the four-eyed devil sovereign's body. He did not have a physical body. Naturally, there would not be a corpse left behind. 2Mo and Taya, who were still fighting against the cloaked puppet, were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. With just a single strike, Ning Fan had killed 2 peak Shikong demons. This scene caused their hearts to tremble with fear. If they were at their peak, they would certainly not be afraid of Ning Fan. Unfortunately, they only had peak Shikong demons cultivation base now. They did not have the strength to withstand the god-blasting technique of that level. However, this strike had also depleted all of Ning Fan's primordial spirit. Unfortunately, the 2 of them did not know about this. They only knew that Ning Fan could still display that level of divine ability. Their fear towards Ning Fan had already been deeply engraved into their bones. Kei Shensi's primordial spirit was directly destroyed in the god-blasting grand formation. Not even a trace of it was left. Even if it was left, it would probably not be of much use to Ning Fan. Sen Luo had pointed out the drawbacks of the god-blasting technique. This technique could not be activated with the primordial spirit of the ancient monsters. Even though Ning Fan was severely injured, his aura force was unprecedentedly strong after capturing immortal concubine Zhang Yu and killing Kei Shensi and venerated Sang Men. His left hand casually wiped away the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth while his right hand was still controlling the puppet strings, forcing 2Mo and Taya, who had already lost their will to fight, into a desperate situation. Currently, Ning Fan did not have his primordial spirit to display the god-blasting technique. Thus, he could not completely defeat the 2 of them with the thought-shattering puppet. At most, he could only suppress them slightly. The dust flowers had already bloomed for more than a quarter of an hour. There was not much time left for Ning Fan to pluck them. He did not have the time to continue fighting against 2Mo and Taya. When Ning Fan saw the fear in their eyes, he suddenly had an idea. These 2 people were once immortal venerables after all. If I only rely on my puppets, it's basically impossible to take them down. Fortunately, these 2 people are already afraid of me. If I can deceive them and make them my slaves, it won't be a bad thing. Ning Fan's eyes turned serious and he made up his mind. After controlling the puppets to repel the two of them once again, he did not continue to attack them. Instead, he took out the jade slip that Sha Di had given him and hid it in his sleeve. Then, he said to the two of them coldly and mercilessly. Become my slaves or die. Give me an answer within 3 breaths. As soon as they heard Ning Fan's words, Tu Mo and Tai Ya's faces were filled with shock and anger. Both of them were once immortal venerables of the ancient times. However, they had no choice but to become Kei Shenxi's slaves. Now that Kei Shenxi was dead, how could they be willing to become Ning Fan's slaves again? However, the vague sense of danger that was coming from the jade slip in Ning Fan's sleeve made the two of them breathless with fear. Even if the two of them were at their peak, they would not be able to resist the killing intent in the jade slip. How could they not know that the jade slip in Ning Fan's hand contained a killing technique that was even more terrifying than the spirit blast technique? Once it is used, the two of them would certainly die. Unfortunately, they did not know that the jade slip could only be used for show at most. It could not be activated. After all, Ning Fan only had 2 jade slips left. One of them was to summon the ancient puppet while the other one was to summon Sha Di. Now that he was in the ancient wild region, he could not use the 2 jade slips unless he was within 4 days. What should I do? It wasn't easy for me to break free from the Iron Blood Seal. How can I be willing to become someone's slave? However, if I don't become a slave, I will certainly die. Moreover, I'm not willing to die in vain. Tai Ya's eyes were filled with hesitation. Damn it! How should I choose? I don't want to be a slave nor do I want to die. Tu Mo could feel the killing intent from the jade slip. His body began to tremble uncontrollably. That was the jade slip condensed by Sha Di. The killing intent it contained was naturally not something that the current Tu Mo could withstand. 1 breath. Ning Fan's voice resounded in their ears like a nightmare, breaking their psychological defense bit by bit. They only had 3 breaths to choose. How should they choose and how could they choose? If they made a wrong choice, what awaited them would be eternal damnation. Chapter 884. The first breath was short and passed quickly, but to Earth Demon and Iron Crow Daoist, it was probably the longest time in their lives. On one hand, they were afraid of Ning Fan's terrifying divine abilities. On the other hand, they could not help but lower their heads and become slaves for a junior. Both of them were ancient immortal venerables. Those who could cultivate to the immortal venerable realm were all prideful people. How could they be willing to be slaves? However, the two of them did not have the courage to reject Ning Fan's threat. Even ants lived in vain. Naturally, the two of them also knew how to cherish their lives. 2 breaths. While the two were hesitating, the second breath passed. When Ning Fan's voice resounded in their ears, their hearts sank. They knew that if they do not make a decision now, they would probably not be able to turn the situation around once Ning Fan counts to 3. I am willing to be your slave, but I have a condition. Earth Demon's psychological defense collapsed first. He gritted his teeth and said to Ning Fan. Speak. Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged. I will only serve you for 1,000,000 years. After 1,000,000 years, you must return my freedom to me. I'm an immortal venerable, I can't be a slave for my entire life. If you don't agree to this condition, I won't surrender to you even if I die. To us immortal venerables, being a slave for life is practically no different from death. What's the point of living without freedom? Do you agree to this condition or not? The Earth Demon replied with a bit of backbone, but there was a hint of nervousness in his expression. It was impossible for him to be Ning Fan's slave for life. However, if Ning Fan only wants to serve him for 1,000,000 years, he could consider it. After all, to an immortal venerable of the past 10,000 years, 1,000,000 years was very short. It was like a day and night. If Ning Fan doesn't agree to his condition, even if he cherishes his life, he would still choose to fight Ning Fan to the death. After all, he still had the pride of being an immortal revered in the past. I can agree to your condition, but you have to hand over your fate soul to me for safekeeping. Ning Fan said in an irrefutable tone. What? You want me to give you my life soul? This was impossible. At most, I'll allow you to plant a restrictive spell on me. Earth Demon glared at him and refused without thinking. Iron Crow Daoist's face darkened as well. When he heard Ning Fan agreeing to Earth Devil's condition, Daoist Tai Crow was already tempted. He wanted to give up his 1,000,000 years of freedom and surrender to Ning Fan just like Earth Devil in order to preserve his life. However, as soon as Daoist Tai Crow heard that Ning Fan wanted his life soul, he became hesitant again and remained silent. A second-step cultivator's essence soul and soul fused together and could not be separated. If the essence soul died, the soul would dissipate. However, if one cultivated to the primordial realm, they could extract a strand of soul energy from their primordial spirit, which was called the fate soul. The life soul had a major flaw. If it was accidentally destroyed, the primordial old monster would die along with it. For ancient monsters, only when they were truly loyal to someone would they hand over their fate soul and leave their life and death in the hands of others. At this moment, Ning Fan fully released his aura force without hiding his cultivation base. With Earth Devil and Iron Crow's eyesight, they could naturally see that Ning Fan's cultivation base was at the mid-crossing truth realm. The gap between the mid-true crossing realm and the peak-shedding void realm was more than one realm. Even though Ning Fan was not an ordinary mid-true crossing realm cultivator, it was still not easy for him to plant a restrictive spell on them. Even if he could plant a psychic seal on them in the end, due to the difference in their cultivation, the psychic seal could at most severely injure the two of them. It would not be able to endanger their lives. Earth Devil and Iron Crow's bottom line was that they would only allow Ning Fan to plant a psychic seal on them. However, they would never hand over their fate souls to him. Ning Fan was also aware of this. That was why he asked for their fate souls. It was a helpless move. Since the psychic seal could not endanger their lives, it naturally could not guarantee their loyalty. After surviving today's crisis, who knew if Earth Devil and Iron Crow would betray him one day and break the psychic seal at the cost of serious injuries? With the gap in their cultivation base, the psychic seal was obviously unreliable. Only by obtaining their fate souls could he truly make the two former immortal venerables submit to him. If the two of you hand over your fate souls to me, I will only keep you as my slaves for 10,000 years. After that, I will return you your freedom. If there's a chance, I will even help you to find a new physical body and seize another body to restore your immortal venerable's cultivation base. However, if the two of you are unwilling to hand over your fate souls. In my last breath, I will ask you again. Are the two of you really not willing to hand over your fate souls? Ning Fan's eyes coldly swept across Earth Devil and Iron Crow. He activated the Slayer Emperor's Jade Slip and released a trace of aura force to deter them. However, he did not give them a firm answer. Inwardly, he sighed. If the two of them insisted on not handing over their fate souls, Ning Fan had no choice but to settle for the next best thing and plant a psychic seal on them for the time being. As for the other matters, they could only talk about it in the future. Earth Devil and Iron Crow exchanged glances and saw the hesitation in each other's eyes. Both of them were immortal venerables from ancient times. There was not much difference between being a slave for 10,000 years or a slave for 1,000,000 years. It was just a short seclusion or a long seclusion. Both of them did not expect Ning Fan to find a good physical body for them to seize another body and restore their cultivation base. Currently, the two of them only had an illusory remnant of their primordial spirits. They had already lost their physical bodies and their cultivation base was greatly damaged. Unless they could find an ancient immortal venerable's physical body, they would definitely not be able to regain their immortal venerable's cultivation base. It was not easy to find a suitable immortal venerable's physical body. The two of them were not moved by Ning Fan's words. They were still unwilling to hand over their fate souls. However, what could they do even if they were unwilling? If they do not hand over their fate souls, they would probably be killed by Ning Fan right here. This young man is obviously just a junior Duzhen. Why does he have so many heaven-defying abilities to protect himself? What exactly is his background? Now that things have come to this, I'm afraid I have no choice but to agree. It seems like I can only hand over my fate souls. Earth Devil's thoughts raced. He let out a long sigh and gritted his teeth. Then, he said to Ning Fan. All right. I can give you my fate soul. However, you have to swear the Great Heart Devil oath that you will return my fate soul and my freedom after 10,000 years. I don't have the habit of swearing oaths. However, I will certainly keep my promise. Whether you believe me or not, it's all up to you. Ning Fan said coldly. Seeing that Ning Fan was unwilling to swear the Great Heart Devil oath, Earth Devil's expression turned slightly unpleasant. However, there was nothing he could do. Now that Ning Fan was on the chopping block, he was like a piece of meat on the chopping block. If Ning Fan insisted on not swearing the oath, could he still force him? Fine. 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 I will believe you for once. This is my fate soul. Take it. If you go against your promise with me, I will make you pay even if I have to risk my life. As soon as he finished speaking, Earth Devil performed a hand seal with both of his hands. Immediately, a piece of dark yellow, slightly illusory pangolin scale flew out from his glabella. That scale was the appearance of his fate soul. Ning Fan kept the scale of Earth Devil's fate soul and nodded his head in satisfaction. From now on, Earth Devil's life and death were in Ning Fan's hands. He should not have the intention to betray him anymore. Sigh. I will also give my fate soul to you, little friend. This is my fate soul. Little friend, keep it well. Seeing Earth Devil obediently handing over his fate soul, Iron Crow Daoist heaved a long sigh and did the same. His fate soul was an illusory crow feather made of iron. Ning Fan kept it as well. Now, both of them had become Ning Fan's slaves. The two of you will guard the entrance of the Snow Valley. If any demon intrudes the valley, kill them all. Ning Fan ordered the two of them. Don't worry, little friend. With the two of us guarding the entrance of the Snow Valley, no one can intrude the valley unless it's the thought-breaking old monster. The two of them answered reluctantly. However, they were a little worried about their gains and losses. After all, they were still a little arrogant when they did not address Ning Fan as their master. Ning Fan would not care about such trivial matters. After Earth Devil and Iron Crow Daoist left, he glanced at the four-eyed Devil Monarch and Fairy Han Wu who were unconscious on the ground. After confirming that the two of them were just unconscious and their lives were not in danger, Ning Fan did not care about them for the time being. He waved his hand and kept the thought-breaking puppet. Then, he lowered his head and looked at the destroyed items on the ground. Looking at Kei Shenxi's charcoal-like corpse, he gradually let out a long sigh without saying a word. The scenes of him comprehending the rain in the Dark Sparrow's grave flashed across his mind. Eventually, they only turned into a heavy sigh for Ning Fan. Senior Kei Shenxi, I owe you a debt of gratitude. If it wasn't for the comprehension of the rain that you left in the Dark Sparrow's grave, I wouldn't have been able to come this far. Not being able to meet you when you were still alive is really a regret of mine in this life. The only thing I can do for you is to avenge you by killing the person who took your body and took your life. The enmity of the past has vanished today. Senior Kei Shenxi, have a safe journey. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan cupped his fist slightly and bowed to Kei Shenxi's charcoal-like corpse. After this bow, a surge of resentment surged out from Kei Shenxi's corpse and dissipated in the air. After the resentment dispersed, the flesh and blood of Kei Shenxi's charcoal-like corpse gradually dissipated, leaving only a charred skeleton. Then, the skeleton broke into ashes bit by bit and passed away. At this point, Kei Shensi's resentment had vanished. Perhaps, he could finally rest in peace. Kei Shensi's hometown should be in Northern Heaven. If I go to Northern Heaven one day, I can find his hometown and bury his ashes. Ning Fan took out a jade box and waved his sleeve. All the ashes on the ground were kept into the jade box carefully. After doing all this, Ning Fan walked towards the melted ice lake step by step. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared at the dust tree at the center of the lake. When the dust flower bloomed for 45 minutes, it would turn into dust. Now that it had bloomed for 45 minutes, there was still 15 minutes left for Ning Fan to pluck the dust flower. Since the fall of the seventh barbarian ancestor and the calamity that befell the desolate land, no one could successfully pluck the dust flower from the dust tree. Today, this record was destined to be broken by Ning Fan. Ning Fan's figure flashed and appeared under the dust tree at the center of the lake. Stepping on the surface of the lake, he recalled the flower-plucking finger art that he saw in the first illusion of Duzhen. His 10 fingers moved like shadows and formed hundreds of finger arts in an instant. Everything was exactly the same as what Red Yiksha did in the past. After forming those mysterious finger arts, Ning Fan carefully reached out his hand and plucked the dust flowers from the dust tree. There were a total of 49 dust flowers and he placed them in the wooden box. Ning Fan tried to seal the dust flowers and bring them back for Zhao Dai, to consume. However, he found out that it was impossible. The dust flowers would wither after 3 minutes. This was the rule set by the Tribulation Lord. Ning Fan could not change it with his current cultivation base. Moreover, there was another rule that was set within the dust flowers: they could not be brought out of the Yellow River Snow Valley. Ning Fan vaguely sensed that if he forcefully brings the dust flowers out of the snow valley or keeps them in any storage space, the dust flowers would directly turn into ashes. No wonder Red Yiksha would directly consume all the dust flowers under the dust tree in front of me in the illusory realm. It turns out that these dust flowers can't be sealed or brought out of the snow valley. Looking at the dust flowers in the wooden box that were dissipating bit by bit, Ning Fan sighed. He knew that the dust flowers were already on the verge of dissipating and it would be difficult for them to exist for a long time. Thus, he had no choice but to consume them immediately. Ning Fan consumed the dust flowers one after another. Each time he consumed a dust flower, his comprehension ability would skyrocket. In the world of his mind, the second illusory heavenly mortal gate gradually appeared. The power of the 49 dust flowers could only make the shadow of the second heavenly mortal gate appear. It could not make the gate materialize, let alone open it. Even though the dust flowers have greatly increased my Tao comprehension, it is still not enough to open the second heavenly mortal gate. Ning Fan's eyes fell upon the intertwined roots and joints of the dust tree. His eyes flashed with green light. He saw a will inside the dust tree. That will was the nutrients for the dust flowers to bloom. It was also the foundation of the dust tree. The fake Kei Shensi had once begged Ning Fan to help him extract this will. Now, Ning Fan was interested in extracting the power of this will. However, it was not for the fake Kei Shensi but for himself. If I devour this will, I wonder if I can open the second heavenly mortal gate. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination. He raised his right palm and pressed it on the dust tree, feeling the veins of the will inside it. When he opened his eyes, he seemed to be able to see through the huge web of wills inside the tree. When he closed his eyes, the huge web of wills spread out in his mind, forming traces of strange Tao law that he had never seen before. From this dust tree, he saw the Tao that the Tribulation Lord cultivated. That Tao was called dust. It was not only the Tao but also a kind of extremely pure will. What is dust? Everything that can be tainted in this world is dust. A voice that carried heavenly might and unimaginable power of will suddenly exploded in Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. Even though he was prepared for it, he was still forced to take a few steps back by that powerful will. He felt a pain in his chest and coughed out blood. His eyes were filled with shock. He had just extracted a trace of willpower from the dust tree and devoured it, but he had already suffered a huge backlash. The might of that will was really terrifying. It was indeed the will left behind by the Tribulation Lord who planted the dust tree. However, this will had been here for countless years and had bloomed countless generations of dust flowers. Its remaining power was no longer as strong as before. Ning Fan did not believe that he could not extract the complete will of the dust tree and devour it. After devouring just a trace of the will of the dust tree, the second heavenly mortal gate in his mind became much more solid. Ning Fan believed that if he could completely devour all of the will, it would be enough to completely open the second heavenly mortal gate. Suddenly, the scene where he turned into a barbaric bull in the illusion of Du Zhen appeared in front of Ning Fan's eyes. He had once turned into a barbaric bull and fought against the will of the Tribulation Lord. Now that he was facing it again, he had nothing to be afraid of. Ning Fan stepped on the surface of the lake again and approached the dust tree. He pressed his palm on the tree. Outside the Yellow River maze, a crack in the boundary suddenly appeared in the clouds, and 9 ice demon ships swarmed in. On each of the demon ships, there were nearly 1,000 demon cultivators. They were all demon cultivators who had been ordered to rush to the Snow Valley, but they were not demon cultivators of the true dragon clan. There were more than 10 Duzhen experts on each demonic ship, and there was also a sky-rending realm demonic cultivator on each ship. Countless demonic beast totems were carved on the sides of the demonic ships. The beasts carved on the totems were shaped like fish and huge like whales. It's the reinforcements of the Snow Whale clan. I didn't expect this clan to be the first to arrive here. A large number of Dragon Clan demon soldiers stationed outside the maze immediately exclaimed. In the upper realms demon spirit land, the Snow Whale clan's foundation was comparable to that of the True Dragon clan and True Phoenix clan. They were one of the most powerful true spirit clans. Of the 9 Snow Whale clan members, 5 were at the early stage, 2 at the middle stage, 1 at the late stage, and 1 at the peak stage. The 8 sky-rending realm demonic cultivators all had cold and emotionless expressions, as if they were 1,000 miles away from people. This was because they had the cold bloodline of the Snow Whale clan. The one with the highest cultivation level among the 9 sky-rending realm demonic cultivators was a middle-aged man with thin lips and hawk-like eyes. He looked mean and merciless, and his demon name was Shuekuzi. Shuekuzi's cultivation level had been at the peak of the sky-rending realm for 400,000 years, and he was the leader of this group of Snow Whale clan experts. Seeing that Shuekuzi and the others had come to help, the 3 sky-rending realm demonic cultivators of the Dragon clan did not dare to be slow. They soared into the sky and clasped their fists at Shuekuzi. Greetings, fellow Taoists of the Snow Whale clan, Cold Blue Claw, Yuan Zhao, and Zhao Lin of the True Dragon clan. The tone of the 3 sky-rending realm demonic cultivators was polite, but Shuekuzi let out a light snort. He was not polite to the 3 of them, nor did he return their greetings. Instead, he asked directly, how many human cultivators have trespassed here? What's their cultivation level? Where are they now? Tell me quickly. The 3 Shurs of the dragon race knew that Shuekuzi was an arrogant person, so they didn't mind. They recorded all the information they knew into jade slips and handed them to Shuekuzi and the other Shurs of the Snow Whale. Shuekuzi glanced at the jade slip, and immediately showed a disdainful look, and said with a contemptuous smile. For sky-rending realm demonic cultivators and 2 Duzhen demonic cultivators. Even if there is a peak sky-rending realm demonic cultivator among them, it's not worth mentioning. How dare they come to the Yellow River Snow Valley with such a small group of people? They're simply courting death. The reinforcements of the other demon clans haven't arrived yet. Let us, the Snow Whale clan, take this credit. By the way, why aren't the 7 little ancestors of the Endless Sky Phoenix clan here? Didn't they foresee that there would be an opportunity waiting for them in this Snow Valley? Why aren't they here? Upon hearing Xue Kuzi's question, the three sky-rending realm demonic cultivators were also puzzled. They didn't know where the 7 endless sky phoenix demons had gone, but they didn't think that they would be captured. They only knew that the 7 women had left the Snow Valley. Forget it. It's a good thing that those little ancestors aren't here. If they were here, even I would have to restrain myself when I do things. Xue Kuzi nodded, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. He immediately ordered the 9 demon ships to sail towards the Snow Valley, and swore to kill all the human cultivators in the Snow Valley to earn the credit. At this moment, an unimaginable willpower descended from the heaven and earth within the barrier. Under the strong pressure of that willpower, the 9 demon ships all fell from the sky. The mountains and rivers were moaning, the wind and snow were rolling, and the entire barrier started to become unstable. Countless scarlet tribulation clouds covered the sky, and the rolling tribulation lightning struck down from the clouds. Every ray of tribulation light had the power to make the cultivators of the sky-rending realm tremble. What, is that lightning? Xue Kuzi, who was originally full of confidence, was now sweating profusely. He wasn't the only one. All the demon cultivators here were shocked by the destructive tribulation power. They didn't know what tribulation will was, what tribulation blood was, and what the Taitsang tribulation spirit was. They also didn't know that the tribulation clouds that covered the sky was a phenomenon that would only appear when the Taitsang tribulation spirit awakened its bloodline for the first time. It was, the first tribulation blood. No one could resist the tribulation will of heaven and earth. That will was powerful enough to destroy heaven and earth. It was so evil that it made people feel nauseous. None of the demon cultivators dared to approach the Snow Valley without permission at this moment. Outside the Snow Valley of the Yellow River, Earth Devil and Taoist Iron Crow, who were guarding the place, felt their souls tremble. They immediately turned their heads towards the direction of the Snow Valley. Even though the 2 of them were ancient immortal venerables, they did not know what tribulation will was. Naturally, they did not know where the will that covered the sky came from. Their eyes pierced through the Snow Valley and landed on the white-robed young man who was standing on the surface of the icy lake. At this moment, the power of the Chen trees will have been completely transferred to Ning Fan's body. The originally flourishing Chen tree was now withering bit by bit. Only a seed was gradually growing at the center of the withered tree without anyone noticing it. The will that was powerful enough to cover the entire sky came from Ning Fan's body. It was the will that the Chen tree was supposed to have. However, it was swallowed by Ning Fan. Ning Fan closed his eyes tightly. While withstanding the mountain-like pressure, he crazily absorbed the power of the will. The power of the will slowly fused with the tribulation blood in his body. While increasing his Tao comprehension, it also caused the tribulation blood in his body to undergo a qualitative change. The tribulation power in his blood was getting stronger bit by bit. This feeling is very similar to awakening blood. In the past, when I awakened my demon blood, I also felt this burning sensation. My tribulation blood is actually awakening my blood as well. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. His expression became solemn. He had never expected that his tribulation blood could also awaken step by step. He also did not expect that after devouring the will of the Chen tree, his tribulation blood would awaken. No wonder the fake K Shensi wanted me to help him extract the will of the Chen tree. He said that there is a chance for him to obtain the tribulation blood. So this is what happened. Ning Fan withdrew his palm and stood under the withered Chen tree with his hands clasped behind his back. Then, he closed his eyes again and gradually calmed down. The tribulation blood was a power that was not weaker than the power of samsara. It was a power that was gifted to him by the ancient Chaos Great Emperor. Since there was a chance for the tribulation blood to become stronger through awakening blood, he would naturally not let go of such a great opportunity. Ning Fan did not notice that the scattered moonlight that he had temporarily sealed in his sleeve was actually emitting a trace of fear in the face of the heavenly tribulation might. Immortal concubine Zhang Yu was terrified. She was terrified of the Tai-tsang tribulation might that filled heaven and earth. She remembered this tribulation might. In the past, when the ancient heavenly court was destroyed, there were countless tribulation clouds that covered heaven and earth. Tai-tsang tribulation might. This young man is actually the Tai-tsang tribulation spirit. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.